Today, I'm introducing a new series to you all. This is a work from Radine Studio. This studio has drawn masterpieces like Solo Leveling, I Am the Fated Villain, The Bloodthirsty Iron Sword of Vengeance, along with many other masterpieces. Our story today is about again. After half a year on the run, a vampire like him was still killed by a group calling themselves heroes. They used his life to boost the reputation of a newly summoned holy knight, but they all failed to realize vampires are immortal. First, let's return to the main character's first life. On a stormy, muddy night in a deep, dark forest, a troop of soldiers with sharp eyes stood steadfast despite the pouring rain. Dariet, their leader, shouted with pride, "Hey, you vampire! Hiding and skulking for the past half-year must have been fun. Right? You must have taken plenty of lives during that time, you filthy beast. Your little game of mocking us holy knights was quite something, but your play ends here. Not even the gods can forgive your sins anymore. Be proud to die at my hand and help me earn the title Vampire Slayer. The sin of deceiving the church and not accepting the judgment of the holy knights. This degenerate form of yours says it all." At this point, Dariet suddenly gave a demonic smile. "Yep, and you know what? The reason I haven't caught you until now is because I did it on purpose, both delaying my participation in the pursuit team and letting you run rampant all this time. It's been a long time since a rare vampire like you appeared. I had to play with you slowly to squeeze more money out of this, and at the same time, intimidate the heretics." Hearing this, again couldn't hold back and lunged forward. After all, this world is one where the big fish eats the small. Everything is decided by the power of the ruler, whether again wanted it or not. That's why he had to flee, swept by so fast that again couldn't even defend against it. Dariet slid past him, displaying a spectacular victory. What a disgusting thought. He showed a clear expression of mockery and contempt. "Your existence is an insult to the church, a blasphemy against our prestige." He passed away with endless regret. "If I just had one more chance." This time, suddenly, again woke up with an intact body. Drenched in sweat, he panted for a moment and then asked himself, "What the hell is this?" Because the present was quite hazy. Again was a bit confused. What happened? My neck was gone, but my limbs are intact. I was definitely dead. Was it a dream? Nope. This is definitely the hut I stayed in before being hunted by the church's holy knights. The time is 6 months ago. Seems like it's right before I was hunted by the subjugation squad. Again stood silently in the cave. Could it be that I've returned to the past? Thinking this, his hands clenched with determination. If I've truly been given another chance. This is a secluded, uninhabited forest near the village of Brooklyn. Again live here to hide from human eyes. Just a weak, feeble vampire. So he had to hold his breath and hide, living precariously from day to day. Originally, again didn't crave human blood, but once in the distant past, he couldn't restrain his instincts and sowed the seeds of disaster. The very next day, mercenaries swarmed in, and 5 days later, the holy knights were searching the entire village. Whether it was a month or a whole year, they were determined to find again no matter what. Out of fear, he lived in the forest drinking only the blood of wild beasts for 12 long years. I don't know why I was able to return to the past to live again, but only one thing is certain. If I've been given this chance, I absolutely cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. If I'm going to die in then anyway after living in hiding, it'd rather become strong enough that even if I'm discovered, they can't do anything to me. Using the vampire's own methods, from now on, I will change my way of survival. Vampires can absorb strength by draining life force. The stronger the bloodline, the greater the power absorbed. There it is. A large, aggressive Rushmore emerges, the ruler of this forest. It attacked so fiercely that again was temporarily unable to do anything. The Rushmore thrashed violently, knocking him onto the open ground. Again quickly got up and assessed the current situation. With this weak body, I can only do my best to dodge its attacks, but if I can just make even a small scratch. He stood opposite the Rushmore with the intense desire to drink its blood. Again's previous survival method was to erase his existence as much as possible. But once he knew that path was a dead end, there was no longer any reason for him to hesitate. Right now, more than anything, again needed great power. His sword shattered against its skin. My sword, the Rushmore seized the chance to whip its tail and send again flying. He bounced a few times before being flung far away. Again was hit hard. The situation was hanging by a thread. A large shadow loomed over him, his eyes widening in shock. Its massive mouth opened. Did I underestimate the power of a Rushmore? Ru is a term for creatures that roam in nature, not monsters living in demonic realms. Even an environment without magic, Some Dotem possess magic stones, an item sometimes more precious than gems. For a Dotem, the magic stone is its life. If I can find its magic stone, maybe I can turn the tables, but the power difference is too great. Perhaps again took the chance he was given too lightly, confronting a Zor that rules the forest. It would probably destroy again before he could even leave a scratch. The monster dove into the water, causing violent waves to surge. It even took again with it. Like a reserved snack, he fell into complete despair. Perhaps again was too confident, thinking that if he was given one chance, there would be a second and a third. Nope, I've never thought so highly of myself. Suddenly, its eyes widened in terror. That's why I've always had to bow and scrape. Again did something to cause it pain, holding my breath and struggling just to live, just to survive. I chose the path of battle. An intense will made again's whole body glow. I must fight. I must win. If I can't win, there won't be another chance. Again reached for its heart. If I fail, there will be no next time. Again reached closer. Craving it, seizing it, he opened his mouth. The red gem was right before his eyes, because survival is living by trampling on the blood of others. After the shocking event, the water's surface calmed down again. Suddenly, a brilliant light flashed from under the water. The dismembered body of the Rushmore floated up. I promised myself that if I had another chance, I would not choose the path of escape, but the path of battle. The entire atmosphere turned crimson, so right now, I will seize both fresh blood and victory. Again stood there calmly, looking at his new body. He glanced at the huge monster and thought, I only needed the blood of the forest ruler, but it absorbed the magic stone as well. The magic in this old Lomer's stone is much stronger than I thought. The color is completely different from previous ones, and the size is larger too. The power gained from the magic stone can cover me in a layer of black scales. With this, perhaps again can resist the sun and be active during the day. He knew about this forest ruler from the time he was captured by mercenaries. At that time, the swamp was small, so no one knew of its existence. But after a heavy rain and flood, its territory expanded and appeared and attacked the mercenaries. In that chaos, again drank a mouthful of blood from the injured forest ruler. Thanks to that, he was able to take down a few of them and escape because he knew its effect, so again was determined to drain its life force again. Although his strength had increased a little, it was still not enough to face Knight Dariet. I must avoid battles I have no chance of winning, at least until I'm certain. Knight Dariet. No matter where I hide, he can find me. It seems he possesses a special ability to detect monsters or spirits. Therefore, instead of continuing to hide, I must accumulate enough power to face him. It's almost dawn. I can't test the magic stone's power right now. I have to go back before sunrise. Suddenly, a mystical voice spoke, catching his attention. The false master is dead. He was the one who seized my domain, turning a beautiful lake into a rotten swamp. You have brought him a gruesome death. I thank you for that, but you dared to trespass on this domain and stain the land with blood. This crime is unforgivable. This is my domain. Muriel, the guardian of the lake, the old forest will rage. The land will be indignant. You will be cursed to have your body torn into 100 pieces. Even if I say that, this bald old vampire probably can't hear me. Right? Only certain special creatures can perceive spirits. Contrary to her sarcastic words, again asked her, what are you? Hearing him ask that, her face froze. Huh, surely he can't see me. Right? Again repeated. I asked, what are you? Muriel was extremely surprised by this. You can see me. You're from the blood tribe. Aren't you? So, did you hear what I just said? Again guessed what she was thinking. That bald old vampire part. No more arguing. She bowed her head to introduce herself. I am Muriel, a water spirit. I was originally the master of this place, but 15 years ago, that old crocodile stole my domain, so I became his slave. No, to be precise, strategic ally is more accurate, because if the water was dirty, prey wouldn't come anymore, so he let me control the lakeside area. Anyway, thanks to you, that damned old crocodile is dead. This place will be purified. It's all thanks to you. I saw with my own eyes a bald old man being swallowed whole by the old crocodile. But just when I thought he was dead, an explosion rang out and a handsome guy appeared. Could it be that you disguised yourself to trick the old crocodile? Such careful planning. He didn't care about what Muriel said and was only worried about himself. Is my tattoo disappearing? Why is that? Right? This humble one should use honorifics. Shouldn't I? Your tattoo is so beautiful. Your grace. What does it mean? Is it a warrior's symbol? Who are the people you've killed? Your grace. He shook his head and replied indifferently, I don't know either. They've been on my body for a very long time. He no longer remembered when he became a vampire. Again was just born this way. Even in his most distant memories, these 10 tattoos were etched on his body. Because he couldn't remember his distant past, again only knew a life of hiding. He never dared to look back at himself. If these tattoos are some kind of seal, could it be that one of them was released today? Him leaving, guard the forest carefully. Muriel seemed reluctant to let him go. Yes, it's been so long since I've met someone to talk to. Are you really planning to leave right now? Your Grace. Over time, people who can see spirits have become fewer and fewer, so this humble one is very bored. If only I had someone to talk to, how great would that be? Again reminded Muriel of her main task. Aren't you going to restore this swamp into a lake? It seems she didn't want to. Who knows how long it will take to purify that place? I'd rather invite a pale-faced handsome man like you to drink some clean water. This humble one is a water fairy, so I can create absolutely delicious water. Drink this fresh water, and your complexion will become even more handsome. Seeing how Muriel created the water, again wanted to dodge. Come on. Hurry up, he ordered. Get lost. Seeing him leave, she tried to hold him back. Your Grace. Wait, this humble one can also purify water, helping you drink from any source. Again was determined to leave her. Not needed. Muriel stubbornly chased after him. Instead of refusing, it would be better if you accept it. Your Grace. Yo. Member of the Blood Tribe. A few days later in Brooklyn Village, it was another quiet moonlit night. Someone rushed in with news. Village Chief. Come quickly. The red-eyed monster is here, he exclaimed in surprise. Huh! The whole village surrounded something with astonished faces. This thing is, everyone exclaimed excitedly. Wow! Look, it's a wild boar. We have pork to eat. So much. Village Chief. Look, there's more than usual today. Can we take it all? A curious young boy asked. Village Chief. What is the red-eyed monster thinking? Usually, he only leaves prey on the night of the full moon. He understood the boy's point but didn't know the reason. It's not the time for him to appear yet. Everyone remembered the kind stranger, a strange person living at the foot of a distant mountain, called the red-eyed monster by the villagers. He had lived near the village for over 10 years without ever harming anyone. On the contrary, on every full moon, he would bring wild game to share with the villagers, who could understand his intentions. Again had a request for him. May I enter the village for a bit? Over 10 years ago, when he first appeared, everyone was terrified, but because again regularly brought meat like paying taxes, the villagers were no longer afraid. This strange relationship had lasted for over 10 years. Everyone welcomed again as a fellow villager. It's been a long time. Do you have something to say? Again took off his hat and said, I've lived far from the village for so long because I was sick, but after a long period of seclusion, my illness is now cured, so I've come to share the good news. Having received much help from the village, I now want to repay you. If the village ever runs into trouble. The moment they saw his face, the whole village stared in amazement. Who's this? They couldn't believe that the again standing before them was so handsome. Just call for me anytime. His handsome aura was blinding. The red-eyed monster. My goodness. He couldn't believe his eyes. Was that strange person in the forest a half-demon, or a noble? Even though he always wore a mask, it turns out his face was this handsome. Just then, Muriel emerged. Confused. Again, did you give them all the meat you hunted? What are you thinking? Vampires are supposed to be associated with blood, slaughter, and death. He didn't think so, so he explained to her, in human society, building relationships is very important. That's why I'm giving them this favor. Muriel resolutely tried to stop again. You plan to integrate with them without eating them. You said you're leaving in a few days. So why care about that relationship? He took off his mask and spoke of the future. I thought it wasn't related, but it turns out it is. I can't just stand by and watch what's about to happen. When the mercenaries arrive, all the villagers will be wiped out. Muriel exclaimed in surprise. What? Again thought about that boy. They are coming to Brooklyn Village to capture a boy and take him to Lord Qian's castle. To silence them, they will wipe out the entire village. If I don't get involved in this, it will lead to the holy knights coming here. She half believed, half doubted the story. Could what again said be true? If so, how would he know it in advance? Really, the whole village will be wiped out, even after staying with again for a few days? I still don't understand him. What is he thinking? Again, let time prove him right. True or not, we'll know if we wait. But before that, I have to gain some trust from the villagers first, to show them I'm harmless. Muriel naively asked about these two things. What does the mercenaries causing trouble have to do with building trust? For the crime of not watching where she was going, she crashed right into his head. Muriel held her face and screamed, "That hurts." She looked at him questioningly. "Why did you suddenly stop?" It turned out a group of guards was aggressively charging from the front. As soon as they saw again, they started whispering, "What's that? That guy looks really weird. Seems like he just came from the village. What should we do? We were planning to sneak into the village. That man looks so delicate. He doesn't have any weapons either, and has a lone. It'll be a pain if he screams." With that, he swung his axe and charged. "Can't let him have a chance to call for help," Muriel shouted worriedly. As if telling again to run, he leaped high into the air, preparing for a finishing blow. Just then, again's eyes turned crimson. Fitting for the red-eyed monster, he just passed his hand by very gently, and the man was gone forever. The expressions on the faces of the others said it all. "Muriel, think carefully. Why do I need to build trust with the people in the village?" He lunged at them and devoured them. "It's precisely so I don't raise any suspicion, because I'm going to wipe out all these mercenaries." At that moment, a chilling cold filled the air as an exorcising light shone down. A terrified scream rang out. "That thing is a vampire. Is not human." Bayu, with a crazed aura, brought his sword down. "A vampire? What's there to be afraid of? On the contrary, it's even better if we capture him alive and hand him over to the church. But man proposes, God disposes." Suddenly, powerful energy blocked his sword, facing again's murderous expression. Bio trembled. "Well, get a huge bounty." He said nothing and violently gifted Bio a punch to the stomach. The man was still arrogantly enjoying the battle. "This guy isn't half bad. Even if he's just a corpse, I still have to collect him." Again casually twirled his sword as he listened to the arrogant man. "This vampire's head is mine." In just a moment, Bio was easily defeated by him. At this point, a madman charged forward with a sharp spear, shouting, "You demon!" His comrade behind him warned, "You idiot! Don't charge him blindly like that." The madman with a fierce expression announced, "I will crush you." But Egan's rough hands easily blocked him, though his hands were bleeding non-stop. The madman, his face covered in sweat, trembled. "Unbelievable. You blocked it." Again's sharp gaze and blazing red pupils were chilling as the sky grew darker. In an instant, again successfully slashed across the madman's body, splattering fresh blood everywhere. Then, he mercilessly stomped on the madman's face. He was surrounded by mercenaries writhing in pain below, but again fearlessly announced, "The night is my time." He spoke in a chilling manner, a perfect time to hide the traces of blood. At that moment, they frantically warned each other, "Don't rush in blindly anymore. As a monster, attack all at once." A fire blazed, creating a sense of warmth in the darkness. The mercenaries, with pale faces, stammered, "No, how?" On the ground were bodies sprawled amidst the large fire. How did this happen? Was this all the work of that red-eyed monster? "No, wait, did you do this?" Again, with murderous red eyes. "Of course not. I found them on my way back from hunting. I was checking my traps and saw they were all dead. This group seems to have been ambushed on their way to Baden village, and the culprits were wolves." They screamed. "Impossible." Looking down at the ground, they saw a black wolf with terrifying fangs. "A black wolf?" Egan said softly. "There were many of them, but I took the opportunity to strike while they were busy feeding on the corpses. As you can see, I killed a few, but there were originally more of them than the mercenaries. The ones that escaped are probably still stalking us. The leader of that species is known as the most ferocious in this region. How could you handle them alone? It couldn't have been this red-eyed monster." "Right," a shout was heard. "Village chief, the iron has clear wolf claw marks on it. It's the same over here. They were all torn apart by wolves." Black wolves are ferocious, but it's unlikely they'd be reckless enough to attack such a large group of mercenaries, the leader said. "My apologies. I suspected you without reason," he calmly replied. "It's fine. Anyone could have misunderstood. What do you plan to do with the bodies? I couldn't just leave them like this, so I came to inform you." The village chief replied, "We can't let them become food for wild animals. They must be buried properly in the village." Muriel whispered to him, "Egan, do you lie every time you open your mouth? You took down the mercenaries, then the wolves smelled the blood and came. After dealing with them, You carved teeth marks on the bodies yourself to create a cover story. Hiding it is good, but why does he care so much about his image? If he had just left right away, he wouldn't have gotten involved in this mess. Even so, he wouldn't have been able to avoid suspicion. It seems he's planning something. Again spoke up, "Ah!" And this, I searched their pockets for personal belongings and found this. It looks like a letter from the mercenaries. Do you want to read it? Muriel thought. Of course he has to read it. It has the seal of Lord Qian. The village chief took the letter. What is this? After reading the letter for a moment, the village chief broke out in a cold sweat. What? Is this true? Philip. Is Philip in the village? The surrounding villagers were curious. What does it say? Village chief. Philip is still in the village. What on earth is happening? Who would have thought the village chief would suddenly shout? Philip might be the illegitimate child of Lord Qian. These mercenaries came to escort him. As soon as he said that, whispers broke out all around. What? That kid is a noble. Kamir stared blankly as dark red blood splattered in the air. This is unbelievable. He took down such a large group all by himself. At this rate, we'll all end up as corpses. Don't hesitate. Fight! Even if as a monster, he only has 2 arms and 2 legs. Don't rush in blindly. Surround him. His face, covered in wounds, trembled. There was no escape. Suddenly, this guy appeared. Cambridge shivered watching each of Again's powerful slashes. At that moment, those sharp, red eyes turned and locked onto him. Again quickly threw a punch straight into his abdomen, causing Kamer to lose his balance. And just like that, his whole body slammed into a tree trunk, creating a jarring sound in the forest. After knocking Kamer down, Again quickly fled. Meanwhile, he was crawling on the ground, whimpering, "Stop, stop. You were waiting for us from the start. Weren't you? Why? Why target us? We just had business in the village on the other side of the mountain." Just then, Again approached with menacing eyes. "I was just curious about what you were doing in that village. That village is mine." His eyes went wide. "Please spare me, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were the Blood King who rules this village, but we didn't come to hunt vampires. I swear, an illegitimate child of the Qian family is hiding there. We thought he was missing, but it turns out he's been hiding his identity and living here. We just came to find him." He just said calmly, "You're a good liar. What's your real purpose? You mobilized this many people for just that reason. Are you planning to wipe out the entire village?" Chimera screamed in fear. "No, it's not. It's not exactly like that, but actually, we weren't hired by the Qian family. The ones who commissioned us were the 2 legitimate sons of the family, Camera Qian and Bertel Qian. It was probably due to political conflict that they hired us. We only came to capture the illegitimate child. We brought so many people just in case something went wrong. Please, please spare my life." Again gritted his teeth in anger upon hearing his story. So he was among the masterminds. After all, Bertel, the commander of the vampire pursuit squad, who along with Uldrich, brought me down. As a knight, it would have been difficult for Bertel to directly order mercenaries to slaughter villagers. That was just their own ambition, but because of that, I was discovered by the Holy Knight. The entire village disappeared, so they dispatched a large force to investigate. He said, trembling, "We were just taking this opportunity to make some money. If we had known there was a Blood King here, we absolutely wouldn't have dared." After hearing this, Egan simply turned and walked away. Before leaving, he kindly warned, "All right, watch out for wolves on your way back." Still trembling, he couldn't believe it. "You're really sparing my life? This kindness. Thank you, sir." Who would have thought that just a second later, he would be slashed across the neck, sending fresh blood spraying everywhere? Muriel teased, "If you were going to kill them all, why bother sparing him?" Again just replied, "Now that I've revealed my identity as a vampire, I can't let anyone live." He glanced in a certain direction. Besides, the wolves smell blood and are drooling over there. Meanwhile, the villagers were asking questions. "Village chief, is it true?" The village chief replied, "That's right. The dead mercenaries were guards who came to escort Philip to the city." Their jaws dropped in surprise. "Philip, the boy whose mother died last year, who's been living alone, he came to our village 8 years ago. Could it be?" The village chief spoke up. "The mercenaries who came for Philip were taken down by wild beasts. What do we do now?" again stepped forward and added, "Does the boy Philip need to be taken to the Lord's city?" The village chief nodded vigorously. "That's right, but—" He interrupted, "Even though the mercenaries couldn't handle the beasts here, but I've lived in this forest for a long time, so I can escort the boy past the wild animals to the city." The village chief was astonished. "You mean, you'll escort Philip? How could we trouble you like that?" Again smiled warmly, but with a hidden mystery. "It's no problem. As a knight, I cannot turn a blind eye." Muriel whispered from the side. "Again, you're such a show-off." Just then, Muriel's jaw dropped in shock, as if seeing something utterly unbelievable. The large crowd of villagers also stared wide-eyed in surprise. She had to force out the word. "Again." He parted his lips and began politely, "Allow me to introduce myself," then smiled and raised his voice. "I am Anne again, of the Again family." She cut in. Who would believe that? Again's introduction stunned the villagers. The red-eyed monster is a noble. "Hey! Listen, it's rude to talk like that. You should call him Sir Again." Muriel leaned in and whispered, "Again, even if you have to lie, you've gone too far this time." He smiled. I could tell from their reaction. These people have never seen a noble before. This is a remote village where a boy hiding in the forest suddenly becomes a noble, causing a stir. Even if I pretend to be one, they wouldn't have the ability to tell the difference. With admiring eyes, they constantly praised him. "Sir Again, were you really a knight? Why did you live as a hermit in the forest for over 10 years? Was it to heal training injuries? Or is it just a form of training for knights?" He just explained vaguely, "For various reasons, I cut my ties with humanity and lived in this forest." They immediately started cheering. "No wonder. I knew you were different ever since you brought food to help the village. You were able to live alone in the forest because of a knight's superhuman skills." "Right," the village chief suddenly spoke up, "but our village is very poor. We have nothing to offer you as payment." Again said in a low voice, "It's fine. I just want to rest. May I stay in the village tonight?" The village chief smiled kindly. "Of course. Our homes may be small, but please rest here tonight, in the open air under the clear blue sky." Again stared into the distance with a vacant look. He revealed his beastly Blood King hand and lightly touched the wall. This is an enhanced ability from the ruler of the forest. His sharp, blood-red eyes, filled with murderous intent, were chilling. The beastly hand mysteriously kept stroking the wall. "Since it's covered by a black resin-like layer, my skin has some resistance to the sun. Thanks to that, the journey will be less difficult." Muriel cursed him. "You stupid vampire. What were you thinking, telling such a blatant lie? You claim to be a knight, but you can't even read." Again replied quickly, "Yeah, I might get exposed one day, but I'm leaving soon anyway, so it doesn't really matter." Muriel asked, "Now, tell me, what is your real purpose? After living quietly in the forest for so long, why suddenly befriend the villagers and even accept a request?" Just then, a voice called out, "Sir Again, we've finished our preparations. You can leave whenever you're ready." He whispered, "See, in just one night, I've already gained status. Humans tend to believe in authority more than complicated words. You can lie as much as you want, but using status can reduce 100 lies to just 10. Only this village would believe such a hasty lie. The nobles would be much harder to convince. Therefore, from now on, I will turn that lie into the truth. Thanks to my previous good deeds, I've already built trust with the villagers," he said with a bright smile. "I was afraid Sir Again might be misunderstood, so I've written a letter of explanation." "Philip, no. Master Philip, please take good care of him. From now on, by using my true strength to turn these lies into reality, everyone will surely believe me." Philip stepped forward with a shy face. Philip, it's a pleasure to meet you, Sir Again, but to turn all lies into truth, I need a higher status." Again spoke. "You're Philip. I am Anne Again. Nice to meet you. I'll make use of him." Again thought, to become a true noble, under the blue sky amidst the deep green forest. The two of them warily made their way down the path out of the village. Again asked curiously, "Is that Brahma village?" Philip replied, "Judging by the sign, yes it is." He asked, "You can read?" He scratched his neck shyly. "Yes, my mother taught me to read before she passed away. She came from a humble background, so she wasn't formally educated. She said the person she loved taught her how to read. I never expected that person to be Lord Qian." Muriel teased by his ear. "Well, that's perfect. Have him teach you how to read." Without hesitation, again asked, "Could you teach me how to read?" He was astonished. "Ah, me? But you're a knight. Don't you know how to read?" Again said softly, "Knight is just a title. My family has fallen, and there's nothing to be proud of. What I've used to survive until now isn't literacy, but my sword." Philip wondered. "You mean the again family has?" In response to his question was again silence, as if in acceptance. "Go ahead and doubt me. Then trust me. Once I've earned your trust, it will be thick enough to cover any lie." Muriel teased from the side. "Wow, what a top-tier performance. Well, it's good, but lying too much will arouse suspicion. That look in his eyes. It seems he already believes you." Philip spoke slowly. "My apologies, sir, again. Actually, I was suspicious of you. Sometimes you said you were a monster, other times a noble. The villagers called you a monster, so I was a bit prejudiced. I'll verify it myself instead of listening to rumors. If you come from a martial family, it's understandable that you wouldn't have learned to read, so that you won't be embarrassed in front of others. I'll take the opportunity to teach you when I have time." Philip said softly, "Please tell me more about yourself." "Sir," again. Who would have expected a knife to come flying right past his eyes? Philip, his face pale, screamed in terror as he saw it for the first time, again quickly transformed to block the blade and save Philip from harm. The hunters laughed gleefully. "You have to pull hard, just like I taught you. I did exactly as you said." Philip, his face pale and covered in cold sweat, asked, "What is this?" "Robbers." The hunter sneered. "Never seen a robber before. Your expressions are quite interesting. Well then, let's make this quick. Drop everything. Empty that bag. If you're not quick, you'll all die by my hand." Just then, without a word, again brutally sliced off his head. It rolled like candy, leaving the other hunters aghast. Philip stared at the head on the ground. Horrified, a hunter screamed, "Boss!" Again casually remarked, "I did as you asked." Very quick, an enraged hunter raised his axe, cursing, "This bastard," and was immediately cut down, blood splattering everywhere. A few sharp slashes sent them all to their graves. The last one backed away, pleading for help. Again, with a brutal expression, finished him with a blow to the chest. The world went silent. After the battle, again walked among the corpses. "I don't understand why humans attack the weak." He pushed the knife deeper into a corpse. "Does being weak give you the right to bully?" "Philip, if I could read, would I be able to understand this?" He trembled and replied, "That," and a second later, saw dark red blood spurt out gruesomely, again covered his mouth and said in a low voice, "You said you would verify it yourself. Believe it or not is up to you. But I won't let a single drop of blood touch you." The bustling scene of Graves' village appeared. People bustled about, and the cries of vendors rose up. Come on. Come on. Rare herbs just back from the northern hunt have arrived. Only 20 coins a bundle." Elsewhere, someone grumbled at a shopkeeper. "The shop down there sells it for half the price. Don't be ridiculous. My goods are much higher quality." Muriel's delighted expression and trembling voice showed as she saw this lively scene. "So exciting. It's all so strange." Philip suddenly spoke up. "Sir, again, if you plan to shop here, it's best to be careful." He added, "I've come here a few times with my master. The merchants here are terrible swindlers. You could easily be cheated. They always mercilessly overcharge my master every time." Another person shouted, "Hey, it's half price down there. Give me my money back." Again looked around. I need to get some money first before I can think about being careful." Then he walked towards the counter where the customer had just left and said, "Wait a moment." The person replied, "Yes," again put his goods down and said, "Shopkeeper, I want to sell some beast hides. Please appraise them for me." The man turned to look, asking, "Yo, are these black wolf pelts? It's rare to see so many around here. How did you get them?" Barton's eyes were a bit wary as he looked at him. The man was covered in a black cloak, completely concealing his body. This made the shopkeeper scrutinize him more closely. Barton thought to himself, "Look at that ragged appearance. He's probably not a merchant, just some wanderer." He smirked to himself, "Perfect for me to fleece." Barton then put on a sly voice, "Oh my, these pelts are so damaged. What use are they?" 18 silver coins at most. Again's deep red eyes, peeking out from under his hood, stared straight at him, making Barton flinch. His eyes darted around as he thought, what? This guy, why are his eyes so red?" Barton's voice trembled. "Ah, Well, black wolf pelts are quite rare, and they're also a luxury item, so I can pay you a little more. Again remained silent. Those red eyes made him sweat. He lamented internally, "If you're annoyed, just say so." Barton gave a strained laugh and said, "It seems this is your first time here. You're quite the character. He'll raise it to 23 coins then." Hearing that, he looked at the man and let out a grunt. Barton couldn't read him and thought to himself, still not satisfied. He added, "All right, how about 25 coins?" Again just made another soft sound. Seeing this, Barton hurriedly raised the price. "Ah, no, that's not right. 25 coins." Philip looked astonished, while again just made another soft sound. The frightened man continued to increase the price. 28 coins. Again dragged out the sound, his red eyes radiating an overwhelming pressure. Seeing this, Barton panicked and cursed inwardly. This despicable guy. How long is he going to bleed me dry? He covered his face and added, 30 silver coins. I can't go any higher. This made Philip's jaw drop in astonishment. Again finally replied, "Deal." Night fell and a candle was lit, bright and warm. He looked at the paper. What are these letters? They look like worms. I learned some basics from Fleech, but it'll be a long time before I'm fluent in reading and writing. The ancient letters were written neatly on the old paper. The water spirit's voice rang out. "This is pretty good." She added, "Vampires are supposed to wear silk, but this is good value for money." "Isn't it?" Again said cheerfully. "The market was more generous than I expected. I even got a discount for being a new customer." Muriel giggled. "You're such an easy mark." Recalling how the swindler raised his own price, her eyes gleamed. "Taste ask. You should have haggled harder and bought a more expensive silk outfit." He finished his sentence and replied, "I just need an outfit to block the sun. That's all." Hearing this, Muriel was horrified. She rattled on, "What? You have to enjoy life? Have you just been cooped up at home all this time?" The image she imagined was incredibly luxurious. Vampires should live like the noblest of nobles, living in a magnificent castle under the moonlight, wearing silk, ordering servants around, and drinking fresh blood. You need ambition if you want to advance. Again cut her off. "Excuse me, but you lived in a swamp. How do you know so much?" Muriel replied, "I was originally from the spirit realm. Occasionally, seniors would return from the mortal world. They told me all sorts of useful stories." She added, If you're not stabbed by a silver sword or a wooden stake, you can live for at least 200 years, so you should learn a lot, including ancient letters and the imperial language." He then asked, "So, can you read?" Muriel replied curtly, "No." Again asked further, "Besides making drinking water, what else can you do?" From a distance, Philip's voice called out, "Sir," again. His face was visibly tired. He asked, "Excuse me, who are you talking to?" He turned around and calmly replied, "I was just talking to myself. Are you all right?" Philip explained, "I'm sorry you had to see me in such a weak state. While preparing the rabbit, I suddenly remembered what happened this morning, and the scene flashed back to that morning, when seeing again finish off the robbers right before his eyes made him vomit uncontrollably." Muriel gave a wry smile. Perhaps it was too much for him. Again replied, "It's fine. It's hard for ordinary people to get used to the dead, back in the present." Philip added, "But don't worry, I still have energy. The night is still young." He smiled, holding up a pen and a roll of paper, and said cheerfully, "There's enough paper. It'll teach you to write as much as you wish." And so, in the peaceful night scene, both of them were focused intently on the paper. Suddenly, again spoke up, "Was learning to read and write always this easy?" Philip replied, "That's because you're a genius, sir." Again, he then added, "It took me a few months to learn, and most people take a whole year." Again replied, "You flatter me." Again added, "Philip, will this be all right? If you want to move forward, just knowing how to read and write might not be enough. You'll soon become a noble's son overnight." Hearing that, his eyes drooped slightly, and his voice faltered, "I don't know. My mother didn't tell me the details, and I've never really thought about it. It still doesn't feel real to me." A blush appeared on Philip's face as he added, "At first, I didn't expect Lord Sheen to welcome me." From a distance, a group of people approached. One of them came closer, smiled, and said, "Hello, friends. We're looking for a place to camp. Could we ask for some directions?" Looking at the person in front of him, again secretly observed, fully armed and armored, even with a horse carriage. They were completely different from the usual riff-raff mercenaries. These are professionals. The other person continued. There's a child here too. May I ask where you two are headed? He put his mask back on, thinking, this is how mercenaries ask questions. A clumsy lie will only arouse suspicion. He calmly replied, we are heading to Lord Qian's castle. The man said enthusiastically, yep, so are we. May we travel with you? We have wine, water, and mutton too. From behind, a voice called out as a young blonde man stepped forward. Captain, why do you need to do that? Hey, let's just set up camp together. No objections. Right? The red eyes behind the mask flared, and his face became serious. The captain immediately tried to smooth things over. I'm sorry. Compass. This guy is new to the squad, so has not used to proper etiquette. Please forgive him. He introduced himself. I am Puchudik, and you are... Again replied. Knight again. His answer made the man a bit disbelieving. He asked again. A knight, Compass said loudly. Captain Puchudik. He says has a knight. Can you believe it? Looking like that and calling himself a knight. No horse. No armor. He looks like nothing. He got closer to again and asked, hey, tell me the truth. You're not a knight. Are you? Then he pointed at him and added, again of what family? I've never heard of such a name. His eyes showing certainty. He asked, are you an imposter? Those words hit a nerve, causing Again's expression to darken, his eyes looking as if he wanted to kill the man before him. Again thought to himself, I already told Philip this. I can change my story now. The reason these mercenaries approached us is definitely not simple. He silently assessed the situation. Whether I'm a knight or not doesn't matter, but if they insist on questioning me, there will be trouble. His red eyes stared at the mercenaries as he calculated. There aren't many of them. I can finish them all. Again reached inside his cloak, preparing to draw his sword, when a cold gaze and an angry voice came from behind him. Compass. Powerful slap struck the young man's face, sending Compass rolling several times on the ground before crashing into a tree trunk. Puchudik bowed a full 90 degrees and said, my apologies. Sir, again. Please forgive the insolence of this newcomer. Glancing briefly at Compass, he replied softly, no need to apologize. Feel free to set up camp. The man, as if a weight had been lifted, quickly replied, thank you for your generosity. Again thought to himself, from now on, it'll be doubted a lot. To avoid useless suspicion, I must quickly become a knight. After that, he sat down with Philip again to study letters. From a distance, the beaten Compass still lay motionless. After a moment, he came to his senses, but he was still astonished. Compass shot up, stammering, why did I? Puchudik, sitting nearby, clicked his tongue. Taste ask. Compass. You idiot. He frowned slightly and added, do you not know fear? How dare you confront a knight like that? Hearing that, the young man was bewildered with astonishment. Captain Puchudik, seeing the boy still didn't understand, he hit him again and said, gods! You brat. You're alive thanks to me. The whole squad almost died because of you just now. Compass rubbed the lump on his head and grumbled. No way. What's so scary about that shabby guy? He's only holding an old short sword. Puchudik, seeing this, scolded him, you really judge by appearances alone. You're truly blind. He added, do you see how much that knight's cloak is worth? That's a high-quality cloak made from GLA cano fabric with a silk lining. The cheapest ones cost over 10 silver coins. Hearing that, the young man exclaimed in shock. That expensive? Puchudik, that's at least 3 months of your salary. Again was still focused on the letters, but the man didn't know and guessed on his own. Seeing him read a letter, he must be literate. As no ordinary person, Puchudik shot a glare at Compass and added, and he was about to draw his sword for real. We were all on the brink of death. If we were lucky, only me and one other would have survived. The young man asked naively, how do you know? He began to recall, while you were spouting nonsense. That knight had already placed his right hand inside his cloak. Puchudik perceptibly noticed, his left foot shifted slightly back, as an expert at adjusting his center of gravity for a sword strike. That's how it is, an image of again coldly swinging his chilling sword across Compass's neck. He ran a hand across his neck and said, if I had been a moment slower, your head would be gone. Hearing that, Compass stammered, then, Then you could have just blocked it for me. Puchidek frowned and asked doubtfully, do you really not know how terrifying knights are? Knowing the boy was foolish, he began to explain. A knight? You ask? From birth, they hold a wooden sword in an old family. Their entire lives spent learning the art of killing. They venture into unexplored dungeons, defeat monsters, and kill their own kind on the battlefield. Only those drenched in blood are noticed by the nobility and finally knighted. He added seriously, and impersonating a knight is a serious crime, whether he's real or fake. It will cause trouble. Anyone who dares do it must be extremely confident in their swordsmanship. Of all those who wield a sword, how many become knights? For someone barely over 20 to claim that title means he's at a respectable level. Hearing this, Compass broke into a cold sweat. So, he's stronger than you? Captain, Puchitek replied nonchalantly. Probably. He added, besides, he's heading to Lord Qian's castle. I heard a dungeon was recently discovered nearby. Perhaps he intends to participate in its opening. Since we have the same destination, we'll surely meet again. Meanwhile, again was wondering to himself, it's a good thing I kept my cool. Does the title of knight carry that much weight? It would be good if this method continues to be effective. But I need to prepare more. He looked at the group over there and thought, except for the one who was knocked unconscious, the rest are all genuine mercenaries. Why did the Tian family hire that bunch of trash back then instead of professionals like these? Or they could have just sent their own soldiers? It's so strange. Suddenly, he stood up and walked towards them. Compass' voice trembled slightly. Why? Why is he coming this way? Again took off his mask as he spoke. I hear you're also heading to Lord Tanshan's castle. His handsome, heavenly features were revealed under the moonlight as he added, since we have the same destination, why don't we go together? His whole body seemed to emit a sparkling light that temporarily blinded them. Compass stammered in reply, yes, yes. A night passed just like that. They all moved to Matarella, a village in the Qian domain. Again followed along, thinking, it's a good thing these mercenaries believe him a knight. If we travel to the destination together, I can gather a lot of useful information from them. The problem is from now on. Muriel cut off his train of thought, peering excitedly and calling out, Sir again. Then, floating in the air. Muriel added, as you asked, I eavesdropped on the mercenaries' chatter. Hearing that, he immediately asked, is there any noteworthy information? Here is what Muriel recounted. Lord Qian's health is very poor. It wouldn't be strange if he passed away at any moment. And recently, a new dungeon was discovered in the domain. Conquering the dungeon would earn a fortune, but the Qian family lacks both the funds and the manpower, so they haven't been able to open it yet. Finishing her story, again thought to himself, a new dungeon? Huh! Suddenly, she spoke up again. But hey! Muriel wondered, if Lord Qian is about to kick the bucket, what will happen to that boy? Will he become an orphan as soon as he arrives? He answered curtly, that's not my business. She asked in surprise, then what should we do? Muriel worriedly guessed, don't tell me he'll be bullied by his relatives? Again turned to look at him, thinking to himself, the reason Lord Qian summoned Philip, it must be to see his son one last time before he dies. No emotion showed on his face as he continued to think. From now on, his fate and mine will change somehow. The horse's hooves clattered on the stone ground. A loud shout rang out. We've arrived. Warm sunlight shone gently through the city gate, the castle of Lord Qian, the city of roses. The mercenaries and his group entered the vast place. His face showed a hint of surprise. It's bigger than I thought. Muriel, on the other hand, was very excited, saying, wow, sir again. You must definitely get a promotion and live in a castle like this. Okay, he immediately grabbed her and said coldly, shut your mouth and follow me. As they were passing by, a voice suddenly called out, hey, state your purpose, Puchitek said with a smile. Greetings, sir. We are the mercenary squad from the Philim Merchant Guild. And which noble lord might you be? The eldest son of the Tian family? Camera Tian, a man with blonde hair and blue eyes dressed very elegantly, replied, I am the heir of the Tian family. Camera. He added, are those goods behind you for us? He immediately replied respectfully, yes, as you can see, we have delivered the goods safely. Camera replied, good. Don't dawdle. Start unloading. He looked towards Again's group and asked, and who are those people? Why aren't they moving? He immediately answered, It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. I am the knight. And again, and this child, he was suddenly interrupted. A knight. From behind came another loud voice. Brother Camera, what are you doing? His eyes flickered as he suddenly realized the voice was familiar. That voice. He led a group of knights behind him, adding, Brother, how many times have I told you, inspecting outsiders is my responsibility. A rose-shaped emblem was pinned to his cloak. His red eyes narrowed as he thought, how could I forget that voice? The leader of the vampire hunting squad, the first one to discover my hiding place. He and Diriot tortured me horribly. Knight Bertel Tien, cold face, signature blonde hair, and a dangerous aura. Bertel Tien, knight of the second son of the Chien family. Brother, what are you doing here? Camera, slightly displeased, chuckled and said, do I need to report my every move to you? If outsiders saw this, they might think you're the hare. Hearing that, he quickly denied it. That's not what I meant. Suddenly, someone approached and called out, attracting the attention of both. Hey, this is a letter from the village chief of Brooklyn. Bertel reached out to take the letter, but the person unexpectedly pulled it back. Confusing him, the letter was handed directly to Camera. That man stared at him with a strange look. Yo! The village chief, he opened the letter, read it, and exclaimed, Impossible. The mercenaries were attacked by wolves and completely wiped out, and the child you brought back is a bastard. Philip, standing behind, grew a little worried upon being mentioned and quickly bowed his head. Hello everyone, I am Philip, Camera said with a bright smile. Yo! So you're our new little brother. He continued to greet him with a bright smile, while Bertel's expression darkened. I was just waiting for you. Father is very eager to meet you. He spoke with a hint of anger. Ordering, someone take him to wash up and put on some decent clothes. The soldiers who received the order quickly led a bewildered Philip away. Yes, sir. Suddenly, someone stepped forward to stop them. Wait, the angry Bertel tilted his head slightly in the direction of the voice. Again stated his opinion, I'd like to discuss the reward first. Let me see Lord Tien. His face flushed with anger as he shouted. No, again asked again. Puzzled, not even for a moment, Bertel quickly replied, Father's health is poor right now, so it's difficult for him to speak. We will pay your fee in gold. Please leave for now. Again's eyes became sharp and blazed red. I went through a lot of trouble to bring your precious little brother back to you. He didn't listen and became even angrier. A second time, don't make me repeat myself. Camera then spoke up. What's the harm? Bertel, his face flushed, turned and snapped. Brother, with his arms crossed in a bright expression, he said, we have to introduce our new brother anyway. What's the problem with a brief meeting? He immediately retorted. Brother, father is only conscious for an hour each day. We can't let a wanderer of unknown origin meet him. Camera smirked and asked, Yo, so now you're arranging father's schedule on your own. Bertel, indignant, got close to his face and shouted, Brother, why do you keep twisting my words? He remained very calm in the face of his anger. Camera suddenly turned to look at again and said, Yo, my apologies. Night again. Perhaps because my little brother is playing the role of the hare, things are a bit difficult for you. He placed a hand on his shoulder with a sly smile. Well then, please be careful on your way back. Camera walked over and cheerfully led Philip away. Come, new little brother. Let me show you around. Let's take a tour of the domain first. He answered a bit awkwardly. Yes. Again glanced at him through his mask. So he never intended to let me meet him from the start. Suddenly, someone approached and called out loudly, Hey, second son of Tien. Gab, carrying a man on his shoulder. Came closer. There you are. I've been looking all over for you. Bertel saw him and hurriedly asked, What? What is this? He dropped the man from his shoulder and replied, These are the mercenaries who were robbing the villagers. They refused to train and just lazed around. So I brought them back. Gab's expression darkened slightly as he dusted off his hands. How about we make an example of one of them? He glanced worriedly towards again. Even though they're just temporary mercenaries for the dungeon raid. Bertel came over, pushed his shoulder, and led him away. About that, I'll discipline them later. There are too many eyes here. Let's go inside and talk. Although Gab was reluctant, he still followed. Alright, fine. Putetic appeared from somewhere and asked, That person is Knight Gab, right? Hearing that, he asked back, "You know him?" He quickly replied, "Yes. At the tournament recently hosted by the Everground family, he took third place. Has an extremely promising knight with monstrous strength and excellent technique. I heard that back in the arena. He wiped out over 1,000 opponents." After hearing that, again also wondered, why would someone like that come to this remote border region? Puchidek thought for a moment, perhaps because the newly discovered dungeon is opening for the first time. Even though it's a border region, any knight who successfully opens a dungeon for the first time will gain great fame. Because opening a dungeon is so dangerous, many people have died. Perhaps Knight Gab wants to use this place as a stepping stone to be appointed by a greater family. He pondered for a moment. Appointed? Again suddenly called out, causing him to turn and look in confusion. "Hey, Puchidek, your contract ends today, right?" He replied, then hesitated, about to ask more. "Yes, that's right," but again turned to look at Puchidek and asked with a smile, "In that case, can I offer you a new contract this time?" That evening, a full moon illuminated the entire sky. Bertel and Gab were training the soldiers. "I must be the one to open the dungeon this time." Camera, sitting upstairs, glanced down through the glass window. "My dear little brother, after father's health worsened, he has openly aimed for the position of heir. What's more, he even brought Knight Gab over, is definitely planning to succeed in opening the dungeon himself this time. If so, the people's loyalty will instantly shift to him." As he was lost in thought, there was a knock on the door. "What should I do? It's too late to hire some rabble now. There's no one left to help me. What am I supposed to do?" A voice announced from outside. "My lord, Knight again requests an audience." Camera thought for a moment, then gave the order. Again, the knight who brought Philip back. "Let him in." The servant received the order and opened the door for him. "Please come in." Knight again. He stood up and walked towards again with a smile. "Don't worry about Philip. I've taken special measures to ensure his safety. When father wakes up, he will reward you for bringing my little brother back safely. In any case, I am very grateful that you gave the letter to me instead of my younger brother. Thanks to that, I can breathe a little easier." Again suddenly spoke, making him tilt his head in confusion. "That's great. Then," he smiled, his red eyes glowing brightly in the darkness, "I only have business with the lord of this domain, but a third party interfered, which confused me a little." Hearing that, Camera raised an eyebrow slightly. "Yo." He sat down opposite again. "So, what do you want? You want to meet my father directly? Is it to confirm your identity?" He replied, "That's part of it, but I came here to make a proposal to you." "Sir Camera, let me join the dungeon raid team this time?" He raised an eyebrow slightly and then laughed out loud. Camera's laughter echoed throughout the large room. He rested his hand on his face and glanced at again. "You're more interesting than I thought. The title of knight." Camera looked down at his seemingly old clothes. He then sneered and asked, "Is that a self-proclaimed title? I heard you killed about 5 bandits. Do you want to join now to enhance your reputation as a knight? Is there any reason for me to agree to that proposal?" Again calmly crossed his legs and replied, "For you, Sir Camera, this isn't a bad proposal at all right now." Hearing that, he asked again, "What do you mean?" He didn't answer but instead stated its benefits. "By the way, if we succeed in opening it, I will only take 100 silver coins and half of the secondary items, excluding magic stones, for me and my mercenaries." Camera tilted his head and looked at him. "The proposal is indeed not bad, so much so that I find it suspicious. You know that's much lower than the market rate, don't you?" Again didn't deny it, replying, "So, is that acceptable, or should we forget it?" He smirked and raised a hand. "After all, the one in a hurry is you, not me." Camera looked at again with wary eyes. A knight lives and dies for honor. Looking at his clothes, he seems to be a wandering knight with no family backing him. Is not greedy for money. It seems he puts honor first. Moreover, from what I heard earlier, he suddenly spoke, interrupting his thoughts. "By the way, the one in a hurry is you, not me." Hearing that, Camera's eyes suddenly widened. He immediately thought of Bertel and Gab. Camera smiled slyly. This guy knows how to play his cards. Is completely different from those muscle-headed knights. He pushed himself up from his chair. "All right, I have no reason to refuse such a good opportunity. I'll be counting on you." Knight again. After speaking, Camera slowly raised his hand. His hand was extended in front of him. Magic stones are difficult to refine and incur high processing fees, while secondary items can be sold immediately for their true value. Looking at camera reminded again of Puchidik. I will introduce you to a reputable merchant guild. As long as Sir again says hell only takes secondary items, Knight Camera will surely agree immediately. Gab held a knife in his hand and growled. How amusing. Bertel glanced out the window and continued, his adding more people to the monster subjugation team again. It's too late to struggle now. He twirled the knife in his hand and said to him, the dungeon isn't a playground for children. If you're one step too slow, you'll be left behind immediately. It's a place of life and death. If some weakling gets in and hinders our progress, he'll definitely oppose it. Bertel shrugged and sighed. Ah! As for the knight my brother found, he placed his hand on the back of the chair Gab was sitting on. I'm not expecting much. My brother isn't close with the neighboring nobles. His connections are limited. If possible, I hope you will tell him that yourself. He turned and asked Bertel, why are you pushing this responsibility onto me? Suddenly, a voice spoke up, attracting the attention of both. Ah! Sorry to keep you all waiting. I was just talking with my new knight. Well then, allow me introduce him. Here is the new member of this subjugation team. Again, and the members of his team entered the room. Knight N again and his group of mercenaries. Seeing him, Bertel thought to himself, it's that guy from before, and he even brought a group of mercenaries with him. He spoke up, brother, this might be a bit much, but we can't let someone of unknown origin and ability participate. Camera crossed his arms, his voice a bit slow. Origin? Huh, but as for his strength, I can guarantee it. He smiled brightly and gestured towards again. Introducing him. Actually, I heard the story from our new little brother earlier, about the bandits harassing the borderlands of the domain. They've been a headache for us too. Haven't they? I heard that on his way here. Knight again single-handedly annihilated them with just a short sword. The knife in Gab's hand suddenly flashed. With that level of skill, I think his ability is more than enough. Don't you? He threw the knife hard, sending it flying towards again. Sensing the danger, his eyes widened, again quickly drew the sword hanging at his hip. A flash of fiery light appeared. The knife was struck and sent flying in another direction. The wall the knife hit was pierced, leaving a large hole. The knife was even smoking as if it were on fire. Gab, sitting in his chair with his hand on his chin, smiled with great interest. He suddenly dropped his hand and shot to his feet. Well. He slowly approached again. My apologies for being so rude at our first meeting. Your skin has no calluses, no signs of sun exposure. It seems you've been pampered since you were young. Huh! He stood before him, radiating killing intent. Little friend, can you show me a bit of your true strength? In the evening, everyone went out to the fighting ring. The flickering firelight illuminated the entire arena. The townspeople outside were all spreading the word that Knight Ganfreak wanted to duel. Huh! Right now, they surrounded the ring to watch the spectacle. Come on, I have to see the strength of the knight who once placed third in the tournament for his power to tear monsters apart with his bare hands. Oh my god, is that even human? The people crowded both sides of the entrance, even though they didn't know who the opponent was. Ignoring their words, again calmly put on his gloves. But I feel a little sorry for that person. Gab wasn't scared at all. On the contrary, he was extremely excited. The tip of his sword struck the floor, sending out small sparks. He raised his sword and began to focus seriously, his smiling face suddenly changing expression. Again emotionlessly tilted his head to look at him, then turned his face to look down at the ground. He flicked his sword powerfully, making the ground spark just like Gab's. The referee in the middle cleared his throat and shouted. In that case, as soon as the words were out, someone above quickly rang the bell. Ready? A foot stomped hard on the ground, cracking it into many pieces. The sound of metal rang out. The two swords clashed, creating sparks. They both pushed their swords down close to each other's grips, then suddenly struck hard. Gab and again retreated, leaving bright sparks in the middle of the arena. With an excited face, he gestured provocatively. He widened his eyes watching Gab provoke him. Again charged from a distance, continuously attacking to corner him. Compass shouted excitedly. As expected of Knight again, Knight Ganfreak is being completely overwhelmed. Puchitek crossed his arms and explained, Nope, that's just probing. His eyes never left the ring. Knight Ganfreak is holding back. He blocked against attacks without a hint of fatigue. On the contrary, he was smiling brightly. Gab observed and thought to himself, his swordsmanship is still quite crude, with no clear style. I can guess what kind of sword is used to. It's not a formally trained technique, but it exudes a wildness, as if he were raised in the wilderness. Again pulled his sword back and let out a breath, which made him excited. Just as expected, Gab parried the blow and then spoke up. "Hey friend, your knight title is just fake. Isn't it?" Gab smiled and pointed out, "Your swordsmanship has no foundation. Your stance is loose. You've never been formally trained. You just rely on your physical abilities." He listened silently as he spoke. "Although you can't say swordsmanship is everything for a knight. Just a few moves are enough to understand your opponent." Then Gab gained momentum, jumped up, and launched an attack towards him, but again managed to block it in time. "You sure have a long tongue." He looked at him, smiled, and made a condition. "If you can defeat me, I'll keep quiet about it." Then he struck again, this time with more force, forcing again to just barely deflect the sword to the side. Taking the opportunity, Gab knocked his sword up, then pinned it to the ground, leaving him unable to react. He quickly gained momentum. Gab rushed forward and spun around. Surprising again, he aimed a blow straight at his head, but again managed to block it. But the pressure from the strike was still too great, thrown again straight into a nearby wall. Bertil sneered, while the others gaped in surprise. He feinted, but he still held tightly to his sword. Again glared. Then he quickly got back up. The shattered wall crumbled and fell. A swift sword strike grazed past Gab's side. The two clashed swords intensely. He thought to himself, his speed is truly something to learn from. Again redirected Gab's sword path downwards, while he still looked amused. Then he used his leg as a pivot, circling up to deliver a finishing blow. Gab was no less skilled, blocking it with a sword stroke. The two swords clashed, but because the force was too strong, the blades broke and flew everywhere. Even so, the two continued to fight despite their shattered blades. Then again and Gab switched to fighting with their hands. They grasped hands in a test of strength, tossing their swords aside. During the struggle, Gab looked at the hand gripping his and thought, "He's smaller than me, but his strength." Looking back at him, determined to defeat him. "All right, I admit it, your physical strength is completely overwhelming." He tensed his arm muscles, but then he yanked one arm, pulling again towards him. "My combat experience is far superior." He was shocked to realize this stance again fell forward with gravity, to the gasps of the onlookers behind. Gab smiled brightly and quickly threw a punch. For a moment, everything seemed to slow down for again. Then he placed one hand on the ground, again jumped up and grabbed his other hand. But Gab didn't give up on attacking with a direct punch, but again quickly pulled Gab's other arm, making him lose his balance. Gab watched him swing a punch and thought, none of his movements are conventional. Either his ability to learn is fast, he didn't hesitate to throw the punch, or he has sharp survival instincts to deal with danger quickly. As the punch headed for his face, Gab smiled in amusement. Where on earth did this guy crawl out from? Again used all his strength to land a precise punch on him. Gab was sent flying backward, causing those nearby to hastily move away. He flew and crashed straight into the wall behind him, shattering the bricks. Gab fell on his back, eyes rolled back, one cheek swollen. "I lost!" The announcer below couldn't believe it. "You are the winner," again breathed out amidst the announcement of his victory. Knight and again. The surrounding people marveled and ran towards him. "What was that? That knight is incredibly strong." "Inez! Huh! Never heard that name before." Compass arrogantly shouted. "See that? You fool! That's because he is our knight." Puchedek glanced over from the side. This guy, calling him our knight already. On the other side, Gab was lying dazed from the last blow. Suddenly, his pupils reappeared. Gab had regained consciousness. He stood up and walked towards again. He lunged at him like a monster. Again was surprised, covered by the shadow. Before he could react, his arm was grabbed. A round of applause. Gab cheerfully raised his hand and said loudly, "For tonight's winner." To again's bewilderment, the surrounding people shouted in unison. And again. And again. Seeing this scene, Camera gritted his teeth in anger. A while later, a sumptuous meal was laid out. The servants and the butler stood to one side, smiling friendly. Again looked at the table before him with a dark, uncomfortable expression. The butler said to him, "This is an order from Lord Camera. To open the dungeon gate, you need to eat well and rest fully. I will personally take care of your meals." "Sir," again, the other servants asked kindly, "how do you find the light?" "Sir, I have drawn the curtains completely because I know you are sensitive to light." Another person had up a wine decanter. "If you tell me your preference in wine, I can recommend a few bottles." Muriel sat on Again's head, watching the scene. She was amused and teased. Ahem, ahem, as a vampire, he doesn't need to eat. But he can't say it out loud. Sir, will you get a stomachachi if you eat all this? He ignored her and said, I appreciate the thought, but from now on, I will take care of my own meals. Everyone, leave, the butler was about to say, but was cut off by Again. And tell Lord Camera, he glared menacingly and said, I like to be alone. Understood, he had lived in seclusion in the deep mountains for over a decade. After that night, the way everyone looked at him changed 180 degrees. As Again was walking, Camera came to talk. Yo, if it isn't our talented knight. And Again, did you sleep well last night? He replied, it was all right. He wondered, but why did you refuse all the amenities I arranged? Putridic smirked when he saw Compass bowing respectfully and greeting him. Sir, did you just cough? Seeing this, he thought to himself, this suits me quite well. Gab appeared out of nowhere, pushed Camera aside, and grabbed his shoulder, saying loudly, Yo, isn't this my friend, my brother-in-arms? Again said indifferently, Sir Ganfreak, don't cling so close to me. He asked, did you sleep well? My face is still burning. I tossed and turned all night. Gab pointed to his bruised cheek. See this pale face? He thought to himself, are you saying you want another match? He asked, are you free today? The weather's nice. Let's have a match. Compass said excitedly, Yo, can I watch? Again thought to himself, Gab doesn't care whether I'm a knight or not. Those who suspected me are also gradually changing. Although I've achieved my goal, the scene of a crowd surrounding me still makes me too uneasy. He said to him, you want to take another beating? He smiled. Yo, we won't know until we fight. Then footsteps approached. Philip appeared, covered in wounds. He called out, causing Again's group to stare in stun. Sir Again. Philip asked, have you been well lately? In the quiet, moonlit night, piercing scream broke the silence. I'm sorry, sir. Please, master, spare this lowly one's life. Bertol's shadow, holding a stick, appeared on the wall, accompanied by a scream. Maw. Oh, ow, 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 ow. How could that red-eyed knight possibly appear at Rose Castle? His eyes were bloodshot with fury as he yelled, my plan has been completely ruined. Philip knelt down and begged, this lowly one is truly sorry. Master, those mercenaries were known for being thorough. Bertol clicked his tongue with a grim face. Just a bunch of useless fools eaten by black wolves. They couldn't even deal with wolves and they dared to take my job. Then he lunged and grabbed his chin. Are your eyes just for decoration? Huh, Bertol pointed a knife near him. Then there's no need to keep them. He threatened him, making him terrified. I'll get rid of them right now. The people there turned pale with fear when they heard the piercing scream. After finishing his business, Bertol wondered, what should I do now? He calculated. He couldn't deal with him directly now that he was in the castle. As if he suddenly thought of something, Bertol said, I've got it. He looked at the light shining in from the window above where Philip was lying. That's right. This is the only way. This way is also convenient for dealing with him. He glanced up, returning to the present, Again crossed his arms and asked, I heard Lord Bertol ordered you to go into the dungeon. He leaned against the wall and said, I have a bad feeling. What about you? Philip sat on a chair and said, this lowly one came here to die. I suppose I will die in the dungeon. He fell silent when Again said, do you remember the mercenaries who were on their way to the village, only to be ambushed by black wolves? Those wretched mercenaries were definitely sent by one of your brothers. Again glanced over. Philip, they didn't expect you to arrive at the castle safely. Then he said something that surprised Philip. You still have a way to live? Then Again said, Philip and become my slave. He turned his head. Stunned, you're already 16 years old. You've gone through the coming-of-age ceremony. You no longer need a guardian's consent. You have the right to choose your own path. He continued, do you want to run away and wait for someone else to finish you? Or do you want to struggle until your last breath? The day the gate opened, everyone stood before the large gate. Of course, no one knew what kind of monsters would appear yet. Gab addressed the group. Preliminary predictions, low-level are goblins, mid-level are kobolds, minotaurs, giant spiders, High level is unpredictable. Our goal is to clear a path to the mid-level monster area. If a high-level monster appears, retreat immediately. Understood. The whole team responded loudly. Yes, sir. He directed. All right then. First, let's scout the surroundings to see if there are any dungeon caves. A soldier sighed in relief. Luckily it's just goblins. We won't have to shed much blood this time. Right? Another person crossed his arms and said, but I plan to pretend him injured and sneak away after we're done with the low-level ones. The other was surprised. Huh, you can do that. He continued. Hey buddy, your first dungeon raid is extremely fierce. No one cares about the rear guard. Who knows if we'll have to sacrifice ourselves while we're busy picking up a few scraps. As he was talking, he bumped into someone else. If it gets dangerous, let's bail first. He was about to curse. Gulp, you son of a... But before he could finish, Bertel glanced over and asked, Is Philip here? So he changed his tune and bowed politely. Huh. Lord Bertel. Philip, what do you mean? Sir, he looked around. I asked where that bastard Philip is. I remember clearly arranging for him to be here. The other person pointed. Ah, perhaps you mean that boy. In the distance, Philip was happily talking with again. Sir again, here are some rations. I wish you a safe return. He replied. Bertel angrily pushed the soldier aside and walked towards the two of them. This clanless trash, sneaking in as fast as rats. He strode over and called out. Philip, what are you dawdling for? This startled him. Bertel looked down coldly. Have you forgotten what I told you? Hurry up, put on your pack, and get back to your position. Philip flinched upon hearing this. Right away. Then he hid behind Again's back, which made him even angrier. This brat, are you diff? He glanced as Bertel rushed over. He snatched Philip's arm and pulled him away. I told you to get back to your position right now. But again grabbed his arm, making him let go of Philip. Get lost. Bertel's face tensed up when he heard. You're quite amusing when you talk, he said, bringing a guy who only knows how to hold a kitchen knife to raid a dungeon. Are you in your right mind? He shook Again's hand off. How disrespectful. I just want to train this little brother of mine to be stronger. Then Bertel drew closer. Look at your own position. You have no right to touch him. He froze when he heard. You're the one who doesn't know their place. Again continued before Philip was pulled away. This boy, as of yesterday, is my slave, he said. Everyone here has witnessed it, which surprised Bertel. Again glared at him. This is a bond of blood. If you dare to lay a finger on him, it's the same as challenging me. Again closed in on Bertel, drawing his sword halfway from its sheath. Ah! Before entering the dungeon, do you want a little warm-up? Bertel yelled. You, how dare you be so presumptuous? He yelled louder. Did you think adopting the bastard of another family would be easy? This is an act of blocking his path to advancement. Then he heard the other soldiers talking. But rest assured this time, it's not a bunch of fake knights like before, but commanders with real strength. Did you see the match between Sir Again and Sir Ganfriek last week? It was truly top tier. Bertel glanced angrily. I wonder how long one must train to reach that level. You have to live another life. He thought. Them. Suddenly Camera appeared and patted his shoulder. If it's Sir Again, then I can entrust my little brother to you with peace of mind. He smiled and glanced over. Anyway, at 16, as already an adult, he should be able to choose his own path. Right? Bertel was angry but couldn't say anything. Again glanced. Philip is the pre. When the weak become the target of a beast, it's hard to survive. Even if you hold your breath, they will still hunt you down. He grimaced and gritted his teeth. If you can't get stronger, then find a pack. Camera smiled, approached, and patted his shoulder. Come now, let me show you to the library. Ah! Do you know how to read? That is the survival method of the week. A soldier came to report. Reporting. No sign of the Rushmore. It seems no monsters have escaped from the dungeon cave. We can proceed with opening the dungeon gate now. Gab stood shoulder to shoulder with Again, looking cheerful. Good, let's begin then. The gate opened before the soldiers. Open the dungeon gate. Gab glanced back and warned, look after yourselves and survive. Behind them were soldiers well equipped with weapons and armor. Gab and Again led the whole team. Forward. Behind, Philip and Camera stood waving. See you in 4 days. Sir Again, please take care. The gate slowly closed. May the gods protect them. In the dark night, Inside the dark and damp cave, piercing screams echoed. Someone fell, blood splattering everywhere. Monsters rushed in, tearing at the soldiers. Their numbers and strength were overwhelming. Some people fell, some screamed piercingly. "Save me!" From somewhere, a light flashed. A sword blade split a monster in two, saving the one who had just screamed. The survivor was terrified. Huh! Huh! Am I still alive? Gab cursed angrily. "You damn fool!" His face was covered in monster blood. "Hold the formation tight." He waved his hand at the troops, ordering them to get back in position immediately. They all ran in panic. "Ah! Ah!" Gab ordered the archery squad. "Archers! Center! Guard the cave!" Arrows were loosed in a neat volley. Arrows were shot at the monsters, but they kept rushing forward. Gab shouted loudly, "Don't let them break the formation." Under Gab's leadership, the group gradually regained the advantage. Goblin corpses were scattered everywhere. One person looked down in fear. "I knew it!" He felt nauseous at the sight of the goblin corpses. "I knew volunteering for a dungeon hunt was a crazy act." He ran away in a panic. "I have to get out of here." While running, he looked back. "I have to try to get to the entrance." He didn't notice a group of goblins blocking the way ahead. "I have to try to get to the entrance." He tripped in fear. The monsters were also crushed by a thrown sword. Gab, behind him, grew angry. "You idiot. Did you think you wouldn't run into monsters going back the old way?" The young soldier was terrified. Gab grabbed the soldier's collar and shouted in his face, "Get a hold of yourself. Hiding here is the safest." Gab threw the soldier away and ordered, "Draw your sword. Hold your position." The terrified young soldier obeyed. Ahead, Gab's troops were still fighting the goblins. Watching the fierce battle on both sides, Gab wiped his sweat. He thought, these mercenaries were recruited in a hurry, so their skill level is this pathetic. Ah! Taking this bunch on a dungeon hunt is like committing suicide. Before he could recover, another person reported, "Sir Ganfreak, more swarming in." Then another person reported, Sir Ganfreak, we're surrounded from behind too." Gab quickly gave an order. "Damn it, switch to a two-front formation, now!" Again stepped forward. "It'll take care of the rear." Gab panicked and tried to stop him. "Wait." "Sir, again, it's too dangerous alone." But he had already rushed off. In the blink of an eye, again disappeared. Gab was startled and looked down as if he realized something. Again turned into small, lightning-fast vortexes, and his mask fell to the ground. Gab hurriedly gave chase. "Putidek, follow me and cover the rear." A group of people went deeper into the cave, with Gab in the lead. Damn it, how did he get that far in the blink of an eye? Suddenly, Gab's eyes widened. Again appeared in the blue light emanating from a flower he held in his hand. "The monsters at the crossroads have been completely annihilated. I found this in that corner. Is it valuable?" Gab panted. Pazarski thought to himself, he doesn't even recognize common glowgrass. Gab was stunned by Agen's power. How can he possess such a terrifying skill? Agen was only focused on the flower in his hand. Ah! It's already wilted. After the battle, the soldiers were taken for medical treatment. The scene was bustling and busy. "Oh God! I'm dying." "Medics here. Too much blood loss," a soldier reported. "Sir Agen has finished collecting the remaining magic stones." Agen replied, "Gather them here for me." A few glowing magic stones were carefully stored, wrapped in a piece of cloth. "Defeated that whole mob, and this is all we get." Agen disappointedly gave an order. "Let's rest for a bit." Staring at the magic stone, he pondered. Unlike the stone from the llama, this one emitted a blue light. Just then, Muriel appeared. Task, it's so small for a high-level monster. The quality of a magic stone is proportional to the monster's strength. Agen wondered, are wild magic stones bigger? The water spirit explained. Dungeon monsters become llamas when they go out into the wild, but that doesn't mean their magic stones are bigger. The crocodile you absorbed before was both big and strong. Wasn't it? A special llama like that is very rare. It was a powerful being that took over my Muriel's territory. Egan frowned, recalling the previous battle. Egan realized, so absorbing that llama's red magic stone was truly a stroke of luck. The water spirit held her head and sighed. Well, then this effort to enter the dungeon just to curry favor with those nobles wasn't a total waste. Suddenly, she wondered, I wonder if there are any high-level monsters here. Suddenly, a loud noise rang out, making Agen pause. Gab turned around and announced, "Damn it. Just when I was about to breathe a sigh of relief. The break is over. Reform the ranks now." Their formation was in shambles. Gab angrily cursed, "You useless weaklings. Sir again and I will take the lead. You will follow behind. Anyone who runs off on their own will pay for it later." While listening to Gab speak, again thought to himself, "It's my first time in a dungeon too, and is telling me to take the lead." Gab still didn't know what was happening, so he made a suggestion to the mercenaries who weren't much help. Sir again should rearrange the formation a bit. Gab familiarly put his arm around again's shoulder. Up ahead, we'll definitely encounter monsters on a completely different level from the ones before, he said excitedly. Those goblins were just guards for the monsters that have ruled this dungeon for years. That means we'll face at least mid-level ones. Once we defeat them, high-level monsters will definitely be waiting in the back and center of the dungeon. Gab's words sent the soldiers into a panic. Again listened seriously to every word Gab said. He recalled, "That day, after absorbing the red magic stone of the Swamp Lord Lammer, I gained an extremely significant ability." Again clenched his fist. "I'm curious if he'll get another ability if I absorb one more." After a moment of silence, again spoke up, "There are more than 50 similar-sounding footsteps about 100 meters away, and behind them are 3 heavier entities." Gab immediately broke into a smile, extremely interested in what again said, "Yo, really?" Gab made a suggestion. "Want to test your strength yourself?" Again didn't say much. His eyes widened as he unleashed a strike with terrifying power, leveling the ground around him. His attack was aimed directly at a giant goblin. With the battle initiated, Gab and his troops advanced to seize the advantage. "All troops, charge," Gab ordered Pudic. "Stay close and protect him." The soldier replied, "Yes, sir." At the front, again was fighting 2 giant goblins by himself. He severed one of their arms. The soldiers behind him shouted, "Sir again, we will support you." Again didn't stop. He leaped up to the eye level of one goblin. He struck its eye with all his might. Blood splattered everywhere. The goblin roared in pain, clutching its still bleeding wound. Seizing the opportunity, Eugen jumped up and sliced off several of the goblin's fingers. He charged forward again and stabbed down with all his might. Blood gushed from the goblin like a waterfall. Again licked his lips in satisfaction, the red blood making him look terrifying. That day, the soldiers below were stunned by the scene. Etched deep into their hearts was an image of a knight far different from the one they had always admired. Once more, again swung his arm forcefully, his knuckles digging into the goblin's head, caving in deep. Again ripped the goblin's head clean off. High-level swordsmanship, righteous and proper, an indomitable spirit, a dignified demeanor. The goblin's head was torn off. The scene dyed red with blood. Again appeared like a fierce demon. What they were witnessing was far from the concept of a knight in their imagination. Complete contrast to the ideal model. Again looked on with satisfaction, admiring his own handiwork. It was the visage of a terrifying wild beast. The 3 giant goblins were annihilated. The soldiers rested after the fierce battle. Gab stood observing the surroundings. An old soldier grimaced in pain from his wounds, gritting his teeth. The corpses of goblins and men lay scattered about. Gab mused, "Most of everyone's strength has been depleted after this battle. It can't be that our bodies are this tired already. It must be..." Gab deduced that the scene they just witnessed has mentally exhausted them. The horrific image of again ripping the goblin's head off flashed in his mind. It was a terrifying, bloody spectacle. Gab thought about giving up. "Perhaps we should stop here." He looked up at the resting again and asked, "Sir again, we've completed our set objective. Should we head back?" Again expressed regret, him still full of energy. "I don't know when he'll get another chance to come in here. It would be a shame to miss this opportunity. Anyone who wants to return can go back first." Hearing this, Gab immediately became enthusiastic. "Then we have no choice but to follow you. We will accompany you, sir." Again jumped down from above. He made a suggestion. "Ganfreak, please lead the soldiers and leave the dungeon first." Gab was startled. Again affirmed once more, "For the path ahead, only I and these mercenaries of mine need to advance." A voice rang out. Compass ran over. Please let me go with you." "Sir again." Gab grimaced. "Sir again." Could it be that he noticed the soldier's fatigue and is being so considerate? Behind him, Gab's mercenaries sighed in relief. "Phew, I thought we were going to be forced to go." "That's right," Gab exclaimed in admiration. Hidden behind that cold exterior is a warm heart that always thinks of those weaker than him. He was filled with respect. And again, This young man truly makes me reconsider what a true knight is. Again, Compass and Pozarski advanced deeper into the cave, which was covered in dense cobwebs. Compass nervously clutched his torch. Damn it. I didn't want to come, so why did I get dragged into this? I'm scared to death. He reassured himself by recalling the sight of again finishing off the goblins. No, Sir again took them down single-handedly. If things get dangerous, he'll surely turn the situation around. Compass' foot suddenly stepped on something. He froze. Again looked down at his feet. He lifted his foot. Underneath was the crushed corpse of a spider. Green slime stuck to his shoe. Spiders, from the ceiling of the dungeon. Countless spiders appeared, dropping down below on their silk threads. The spiders looked terrifying with their giant fangs. Huge, bloodshot eyes took up more than half of their heads. Their outer carapaces were rough and disgusting. This species of spider-like monster lives swarms inside caves and uses extremely strong acid to liquefy its prey. Compass panicked and screamed uncontrollably as he saw the spiders crawling closer. Buratodich requested, "There are too many of them. Please let's retreat for now." Again repeated doubtfully. Retreat, without another word. Again rushed forward, cutting down a large number of spiders to open a path. He said arrogantly, "This is nothing." Buratodich gave an order. "Compass, support Sir again." At that moment, Compass was still struggling with several venomous spiders, and he shouted out helplessly, has already charged into the fight. Putik also fought without stopping. The three of them quickly disposed of the venomous spiders one by one. Compass fell to the ground, surrounded by countless spiders, making it difficult for him to move. One opened its venomous fangs wide. Compass shrank back in fear, screaming without a sound. It seemed like this was the end. But just then, again rushed in at the last moment. Compass squeezed his eyes shut, only now daring to peek open to look. He whispered, "Save me." Again continued to charge forward. Tireless. Compass panted, looking around in a daze after escaping the jaws of death. Spider corpses lay scattered everywhere, even piled up into mountains. Again had just killed another one. Compass scrambled to his feet. Sir E! Again! Is he really a monster? He marveled. As expected, has invincible. Sir again has killed plenty already. Can we go back now? Compass turned towards Baltic, seeking his agreement. The captain thinks so too, right? When his captain didn't answer, Compass grew worried. Captain, Compass looked down. When had Baltic's legs started shaking so uncontrollably, his face was pale. To think something like this exists in this place. Monsters of the same species have different ranks, but it's rare to encounter high-level ones, so exploration teams usually don't account for this situation. Buratodich thought to himself, that absurd size, it's clearly the highest level of cave spider. Above, a giant claw was revealed. The Spider Lord. A hideous, giant spider appeared with sharp fangs, its mouth splitting in two to reveal a long, writhing tongue. The spider moved angrily, preparing to attack. Patutik screamed, "Retreat! Sir again, we can't help you against a high-level lord. At least wait for Sir Ganfreak to arrive with reinforcements." Again's voice was stern. He glared, giving a warning. "You too. Back off. This is my prey." Putek lowered his head. "Yes, as you command." He was terrified. What is this feeling? It's like I've completely lost control. Every nerve in my body seems to be screaming at me to run away immediately. He and Compass fled. Behind them, again was fighting the monster single-handedly. The water spirit appeared, laughing mockingly. "You little brats, your instincts have surrendered to the difference in level with my master. Haven't they?" Again asked. "Muriel, is that lord as strong as the Swamp Lord?" Muriel confidently affirmed. "No, it's probably even stronger than the Swamp Lord." Edgar said nonchalantly. "Then its magic stone must be bigger, right?" Scene change. A small spider slowly lets out a thread to climb down. Suddenly, something slashed past, severing several of its leg joints. It was flung far away. Again, with a cold expression, snapped his fingers as he looked at the dead spider. Again recalled, the second ability I gained after swallowing the Lord's magic stone was the power of camouflage. With the flesh-strengthening ability I already had, its first use was to protect my body. Combined with the camouflage ability to recreate a human form, I was finally able to stand under the sun. Thanks to that, I avoided the trouble of having to shun the sunlight. A girl's voice rang out. "Sir again, you're not wearing your mask anymore." "Ah!" A group of girls continuously surrounded again. So you wore a mask before to hide this handsome face. Hiding looks like this is truly unfair. They chattered endlessly. Sir Knight, please tell us about the recent dungeon opening. All the young ladies drew closer. We heard you defeated that giant spider all by yourself. Again froze. Flustered. The water spirit appeared on his head, laughing loudly. My boss is quite the stud, isn't he? She teased. Go on, Knight. Tell them the story of your glorious victory. A blushing lady said shyly. Your appearance is just too magnificent. You must have the blood of an elf in your veins. Again was annoyed. An elf, contrary to expectations, becoming a noble is more of a nuisance than anything else. Behind him, Gab, who was joking around with everyone, suddenly stopped. He shouted loudly, "Oh Shoho, now it's all clear." Everyone turned in surprise to look at Gab as he recounted. It's true. Ever since we entered the dungeon, I saw that your eyes shone like headlamps, your hearing was as sharp as a dog's, your movements were incredibly agile, and your spear-throwing strength was terrifying. I knew you were no ordinary person. Gab, excited, with one arm in a headlock around Compass and a mug of beer in the other, approached the young ladies. Who would have thought you carried the blood of an elf? Gab stared intently at again. But with looks like these, it's hard not to stand out. How could you have stayed hidden for so long? Again was annoyed. Has annoyingly sharp-witted. Again rested his chin on his hand and said leisurely, Well, I've never intentionally tried to hide. Again's beauty made everyone at the table pause for a beat. Even Compass blushed with embarrassment. The young ladies couldn't stop sighing in admiration. Oh my! Gab covered his mouth. To be able to lie with such a straight face. Again sighed softly. I'm just telling it like it is. From now on, if anyone gets suspicious, you'll just blame it on having elf ancestry. When fighting the spider leader, again was victorious and obtained its magic stone. This time, swallowing the magic stone didn't just grant him an ability. A tattoo also disappeared. The tattoo in Again's eye suddenly vanished. This made Again remember a few things. Memories he had never seen before appeared in his mind. I saw an image of myself, looking as I do now, lying in a strange place. A soft hand took mine. In the unfamiliar space, bell chimed. Everyone was looking at me. Again wondered, who was that woman in my memory? No. Before that, a frightening thought crossed his mind. Are those really my memories? Again slowly closed his eyes. My past that I can't remember, the only thing I've managed to retain. Someone was calling his name. Sir Again. Sir Again, please save me. The shout startled Again, waking him from the strange stream of memories. He looked to his side. Gab was talking non-stop. Sir Aaron, please save me. Gab tightened his headlock on Compass, making him choke. You useless punk. I heard everything. Did you say that would just be a burden to Sir Aaron? Compass desperately clung to Gab's arm and frantically explained. That's because Sir Again isn't human. A normal person would have fled for their life long ago. Gab continued to press him, not letting Compass off the hook. So, are you saying Sir Again is a monster? For now, I'm going to give you a taste of hell to see how you like it. Again was lost in thought. The only thing I remember is the name Again. But after this incident, I'm starting to get a feeling, if I continue to remove the tattoos one by one like this, perhaps I'll discover the truth. Not the fake persona of a knight or someone with elf blood, but my true self. Again's eyes flickered slightly at the thought. In the room, everyone was gathered around a sick bed. Gab and Eugen were also present. Gab bowed respectfully. Yes, it is a great honor to meet you. Sir, I am Ganfrake. Again followed Gab's gesture. He bowed his head. I am An, eldest son of Again. The Lord praised them. Yes, you two must have gone through a lot. He ordered a servant to bring out a tray. Give it to him. On the tray was a neatly rolled piece of paper. I heard that Sir Again needs papers to prove his identity. I'm not sure if this will be of any help, but this will serve as perfect proof of identity for Sir Ian of the Again family. Again carefully took the paper. Thank you. My lord. The old man coughed violently. Camera rushed to Tian's side in concern. He warily opened his eyes and said, Camera, because of my second son's ambition, I cannot close my eyes in peace. Camera gently soothed him. Please, do not worry. Father, I will take over the land you worked so hard to build. He placed his hand on Tian's. The Lord looked at him and continued, My beloved son, that land is merely a pile of black dust. Remember well, true Lord, must know how to lead people, not land. Philip and the others listened sadly to the Lord's final words. As he finished speaking, Chine's hands fell limp. He had passed away. The people mourned the passing of their lord. Again thought, even though I don't know what kind of Lord Sheen was, quite a lot of people are mourning his death, but when someone dies, not everyone shares the same feelings. Bertel stood outside, biting his lip, his face filled with anger. The sky gradually darkened. A dark cloud gathered as if to signal an impending bad omen. Gab was preparing to leave. I apologized for leaving in the middle of the Lord's funeral. Camera was understanding. It's all right. I understand you have your own schedule. Gab looked over it again and wondered. Sir, again, are you really going to stay here? Again had already made a decision for himself. I intend to enter the dungeon one more time. It's a waste to have opened it and not go. Gab scratched his head and gave a wry smile. What a shame. If it were Count Everground, he would surely hold you in high regard. He held out his hand in front of again. Gab declared magnanimously. It was an honor to duel with a knight as strong as you. I hope we aren't enemies the next time we meet. Again looked at Gab's outstretched hand. He slowly raised his own hand and firmly gripped Gab's. The two of them looked straight at each other, like friends. Compass lingered, waving goodbye. Please take care, Sir Ganfreak. Egrin gave an order. Putudik, prepare to depart. He complied. Yes, sir. Philip was puzzled. Huh, but you just said you would be staying. Putudik didn't answer, instead asking, how is Sir Ganfreak traveling? Philip recalled. By horse. Putudik agreed. That's right. Of course a knight has to ride a horse, so we plan to find a horse for Sir again while also heading to the Merchant Guild to deal with the monster byproducts. Hearing this, Philip became enthusiastic. I see. I will also serve you diligently as your squire. Again suddenly asked. Sir? His face was terrifying. I have no need for your service in the near future. Philip was bewildered. Huh, what do you mean, sir? Scene change. Philip appears at a work site, a crate in his hands. A man shouted, aren't you going to work seriously today? In Marine, the largest commercial city in the Keller Kingdom, a ship had just docked. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the pile of goods. People were surprised. Did that one knight bring all of this back from a monster den by himself? Compass crossed his arms and laughed loudly. That's right. This is all loot obtained by the knight Inez. Everyone's eyes widened. Inez! Isn't he that newly famous knight who defeated the monsters in the Chian domain? Huh! The young knight who broke their necks with his bare hands. Compass pointed and shouted, Hey, you merchant over there. Don't just touch that as you please. Philip looked up at the sky, his face covered in sweat. He thought to himself, Sir again, the story seems to have grown a little. Hasn't it? At that moment, a voice came from inside. Please do not worry. Sir again. Bill Moore, representing the Pan Merchant Guild, the leading trading group in Marine, will take responsibility for handling all these spoils of war. Again watched Bill Moore intently. At first, I was skeptical when Putudik introduced this merchant guild, but I didn't expect them to be such a large corporation, very useful for an outsider like me. Suddenly, footsteps slowly approached the door. Gray abruptly opened it. With my experience, it'll push the price of raw materials down to the lowest possible amount. If you sign an exclusive contract with me, I promise. He asked in a stern voice. Which one of you is Sir again? Again calmly rested his chin on his hand and looked at Gray. Putudik leaned close to his ear and whispered, Sir again, it seems the situation has become complicated. He tilted his head. How so? Putudik continued, This man is just a secretary under the vice director of the Fair Merchant Guild. Again interrupted, What's going on? Explain it simply. Putudik continued, I mean, he has more power than Bill Moore, who we're negotiating with. It seems he wants to snatch Surrigan's spoils for a ridiculously low price, to ensure a stable income. You should be cautious right now. His eyes sharpened. Cautious? Bill Moore laughed awkwardly and spoke up. Hey! Sir Gray, Surrigan is negotiating privately with me. He interrupted. Bill Moore, don't compete with an opponent you can't defeat. Besides, I don't see any signed contract. Sir again, rumors about you have spread all over the port. They say the knight who broke the troll's neck in Xi'an is piling up spoils like a mountain. Of course, that's just a baseless rumor to inflate the value of the goods. Such a blatant trick from an inexperienced kid. Our vice director, Frida, wishes to sign a special contract with you. Sir again, Please leave this shabby place and come with me. A rookie knight who only knows force. Let me strip you of everything. Suddenly, Gray's expression froze. Slightly startled, again stared intently at him. What is this pressure? Yo, how rude of me. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Gray, Secretary to Vice Director Frida. This is truly a wonderful opportunity for you. Sir, again, his voice was stern and cold as he asked. Opportunity? What opportunity? Gray slowly replied. Better terms for the spoils. Of course. Again's sharp, cold gaze stared straight into his eyes. Better. His face was covered in sweat. Yes, our vice director will personally... Suddenly, Again's eyes widened menacingly. The vice director. Personally... At this, Gray was stunned and stammered. If I have displeased you, I sincerely apologize. I meant no disrespect. Again's tone became terrifying as he repeated. Disrespect. Terrified, Gray quickly turned and fled. My apologies. I will return later, Bill Moore cried. Sir, again, this Bill Moore is deeply moved. Were you willing to refuse a contract with the vice director for my sake? Bill Moore, swear to support you. Sir, again, with all I have, if you need anything, I am willing to do whatever it takes. Again was surprised. Really, I like that attitude. His eyes lit up. So, when can we begin? He started to stand up and continued coldly. What do you mean? Right now. You can get out. Bill Moore was surprised. Frida spoke. You were refused. Gray bowed and replied. It's shameful. Madam Vice Director, just as the rumors say, has no pushover. She looked out the window. It's all right. Lift your head, Gray. Knights often give merchants a hard time for their honor and pride. So, we'll use our own methods to return the favor. For us merchants, money and goods are power, especially when the opponent is a dirt-poor knight who can't even afford a decent horse. Go and present a gift to Sir again. A gift that no poor knight could refuse. Philip's eyes widened. Yes, you're telling me to stay here and sell all these spoils. Again replied sternly. Exactly what you heard. Continue selling the monster materials I bring back. He was flustered. But why? Why do I have to stay behind again this time? Is it because I'm not strong enough to follow you? Sir, again, if that's the case, you'll start practicing my swordsmanship right now. Suddenly, he interrupted and asked, Philip, what is the duty of a slave? Philip bowed his head and slowly replied, It is to support the knight I serve in combat and daily life. Again said nonchalantly, Yes, you understand well. Your job is to support me as a slave by selling the spoils from my battles to earn money. That is the duty of a knight, assigned to my slave. Discuss the details with him. He will teach you a lot about business. Philip lowered his head sadly, thinking to himself, That's right. If it weren't for Sir again, I would have died long ago. It's so shameful of me to complain about such a trivial thing. Again continued, When you've earned enough money, I will consider teaching you swordsmanship. Sooner or later, you will have to support me in battle as a slave. Philip's cheeks flushed, moved by Again's words. He smiled gently and placed a hand on his chest. Philip's voice was gentle. Philip will obey Sir Again's command. At that moment, Again and Putatic were strolling through town. See you again, sir. He held up an empty coin pouch. Does money always disappear this fast? Even though I spent the bare minimum. There's nothing left. Muriel wailed dramatically while hugging the pouch. Your shrunken wallet makes my heart shrink too. Sir, we'll earn more money soon. Right? Sir again. Suddenly, his gaze froze as he looked to the side. Before again was a suit of armor made from sturdy material. Pututek said, Yo, this is blade armor. The dream of every knight. Again asked in surprise. A dream? You mean it's expensive? He continued to explain. Not just expensive. This is a treasure that even wealthy knights would only dare to use by passing it down from generation to generation, never daring to discard it. Suddenly, Compass appeared, running up and shouting, Sir again, there's a report of a huge swarm of Loamers appearing on the outskirts of Marine. The Loamers from the eastern forest are advancing on the city. The Marine guards are trying to stop them. Pututek added, Sir again, perhaps we should join the suppression this time. He was surprised. Why? Both of them looked at Compass. Because, unlike raiding a claimed den, there's no fee for exterminating Loamers. This is Marine, a city of commerce overflowing with money. The best place to sell spoils and battle records for a high price without transport costs. In other words, this is a chance to make millions. Again's face darkened. He turned. Let's go. No reason to hesitate any longer. Suddenly, feet appeared from behind. Wait, Puchidek's eyes widened. You are, Gray bowed repeatedly. Panting, no, wait. Compass was surprised. Why is everyone so out of breath? Gray began to speak. Gray, have been sent by the vice director to present you with a warhorse. Its coat is as smooth as black velvet, its muscles rippling as if sculpted by the gods. This is a purebred steed with a pedigree. Again's eyes sharpened in disbelief. The vice director is gifting this to me. He backed away in fear. That look again. It's not that we want anything from you. His expression turned angry as he glared at Gray. Sweat poured down the man's face. This is just a small token of our sincerity. He quickly leaped onto the horse's back. To convey my thanks to her, Muriel started flying after again. Let's go get that money. Master! Compass pointed. Stunned, has already gone ahead. What do we do? Captain, has too fast. We can't keep up. Puchidek yelled angrily. What are you waiting for? He quickly started running. Hurry up and follow. You idiot. Compass received the order. Yes, sir. Gray stood firm, watching them leave. At that very moment, danger was brewing in the eastern forest on the outskirts of Marine. The goblins suddenly stopped and looked behind them. A horse's hooves thundered through the forest. Again quickly struck them down one by one with his blade. The deep forest was filled with a thick cloud of dust. The horse's hooves galloped on without rest. Sunlight began to filter through the canopy. Only when he saw the light did again show signs of stopping. Before him, chaotic battle was unfolding. Marika was surrounded. You bastards! If you can't kill me, don't even think of taking another step. Giant goblins with blazing red eyes charged madly. Marika and his horse lost their balance and fell. The frightened horse ran off, leaving Marika behind. He cried out in pain. Marika, a knight of justice, swear on the honor of Marine. Suddenly, a weapon plunged straight into the ground. Marika trembled with fear as he turned to look at the goblins surrounding him. Marika cried out at the sight before him. Please, spare me. Suddenly, a weapon attacked from a distance, thrown by a figure rushing towards them. Again's face was dark, his sharp eyes ready for battle. His blade continuously cut down the giant goblins. Marika sat on the ground, wide-eyed. Witnessing everything, again skillfully rode his horse in circles around the goblin corpses. Marika chuckled. I am truly indebted to you. What is your name? Again didn't answer, merely extending his blade coldly, and swiftly cut down the goblin trying to attack Marika from behind. His body trembled as he backed away. My name, does that matter right now? If you die here, knowing my name will be meaningless. Countless monsters appeared. Drawing closer. You have a point. If I'm lucky enough to survive this hell, I'll ask for your name then. As we advanced toward the great merchant city of Marine, hundreds of goblins swarmed us like ants, but we fought to the very end. In that perilous moment between life and death, that night coldly slaughtered all of those goblins, and of course, I contribute as well. In the end, we were victorious and protected Marine. Suddenly, someone asked, What I mean is, who was that knight in the end? Maris chuckled. You're very curious. Aren't you? He pointed with a serious voice. His name is Anne again. The crowd began to murmur. And again. Isn't he the knight who cleared the dungeon in the Chian territory? I heard he ripped the spine out of a live troll. That renowned knight has protected our city of Marine. Surian again. Again is the hero of Marine. Everyone started cheering his name excitedly. And again. Again. And again. Again looked through the window and spoke. The whole city is in an uproar over that knight's name. The higher his reputation gets, the harder hell be to control. Louis Fair, former representative of the Fair Merchant Guild and current mayor of Marine, said, Is it all right to leave things as they are, my beautiful niece? Frida. She bowed. Of course, everything is under control. In fact, I'm hoping Sir again becomes even more famous. The greater a knight's reputation, the greater his fear of losing it. By the way, do you know about the disciple Yan again has with him? Felian added, the child who supplies the merchant guild with his spoils. She replied, "That's right. According to my investigation, that child is the secret illegitimate son of the Qian family." Filion turned his head in surprise. "Yo, you mean?" Frida continued to explain. "Although Surigen's purpose is unclear, it seems he's earning money here to support the illegitimate child of the Qian family. If we skillfully handle both of them, we can establish a relationship with that figure, someone who could potentially become the new master of the Qian family in the future." Filion continued, "Truly, my niece, I understand your plan now. Bribing a knight who is supporting an illegitimate child. Then I should also send a gift to Surigen? As the mayor of Marine, I must repay the hero who solved our city's troubles. I will nominate you as the one to present it. Make good use of the opportunity." Frida bowed and slowly replied, "Yes. Thank you." Night had fallen, enveloping the magnificent castle. A slender finger gently lifted a teacup. A thirsty person will always find their way to the river. Therefore, a merchant's job is simple. Frida smirked with a dark scheme in mind. Dig a well and wait. Footsteps slowly approached. Without resistance, without suspicion. Finally, the door showed signs of someone entering. Again appeared before her. "I will wait until they have drunk all the water I sell." Frida's face darkened with a hint of cunning as she spoke. "Please, come in." He was wearing sturdy armor. The hero who saved Marine. Surian again spoke. "I came to express my gratitude. You are Frida, the vice director of the Fair Merchant Guild of Marine." "Correct," she replied. "Yes, I am Frida, the vice director here. Please, have a seat." And again, to think a person with your appearance is the fearsome knight who broke the necks of trolls. Again's face was cold as he looked at Frida. "She was completely different from the knights I've met. The armor gifted by the mayor suits you well. It was custom made at the best forge in Marine. It's made from a special steel alloy mixed with lock and ogre bone. So hard that even a dragon's tooth would struggle to pierce it." Frida asked, "What do you think of it?" He slowly replied, "It's good. Thanks to it, you'll feel more secure the next time I raid a dungeon. Thank you for the lodging and the delicious food as well. Thanks to that, my mercenaries are also in higher spirits. I hope we'll achieve good results soon. I wasn't expecting these gifts, but I acknowledge your good intentions." Frida smiled. In that case, suddenly again stood up. "Now, about my offer." He interrupted. "No, I'm busy, so we'll be leaving." Frida was surprised. "Huh, you're leaving already?" Again continued coldly. "When I'm done clearing the Qian family's dungeon, he'll drop by again. It's no big deal." "Ah, that's not it. My contract only pertains to the spoils from this time. Perhaps this will be our final farewell. Next time, he'll focus on collecting magic stones." Again turned and left coldly. "See you then," Frida said loudly in anger. "Wait." His sharp eyes froze as he turned his head back to look at her. Frida continued, "We still have much to discuss." His eyes glared as he asked in a low voice, "What do you mean?" Frida continued, "Sir, again, there's a limit to pretending you don't know. The most expensive armor in Marine, prized horse with a pedigree, a luxury hotel, and lavish meals for your entire mercenary team. The spoils you sold to the Merchant Guild aren't enough to cover even half of that cost." Bill Moore and Gray were still listening intently to their conversation. She continued, "Don't tell me you don't know that everything in this world has a price. Or did you not learn that in school? If not, then you're just a shameless knight who knows nothing of honor. Would you like the people of Marine who praise you to know this truth?" Again's eyes were sharp and cold as he looked at her, the hero of Marine. "Sir, again," Frida laughed and said, "after receiving all these favors, you're planning to just leave?" Surian again, "Please, let me hear your reasoning." His lips parted as if he wanted to say something. Suddenly, again smirked and replied, "How ridiculous. The first time we meet, you're already trying to give orders, arbitrarily giving me unsolicited gifts, and now you demand something in return. A petty merchant like you dares to threaten me?" His words carried no small amount of bite. Again continued, "Perhaps you're mistaken about something, so let me make it clear. I signed a contract with your Ferald through Bill Moore. As long as you purchase my goods properly, I will leave you be. I don't care what the people of Marine say about me, but as you said, everything has a price. Go ahead, run your mouth all over the place. Then you'll find out what the real price is." Vice Director of the Fair Guild. "From my perspective, Your fair guild is colluding with the city of Marine to mistreat the knight who saved this city. Keep living like that. The next time danger strikes, no knight will dare to step up and protect Marine. My business is done. Am leaving. Puchidek turned his head and added, my apologies for the disrespect. Vice Director, it's truly a pity. If you had done things differently, perhaps we could have become good partners. Bill Moore looked awkwardly at Vice Director Frida's expression. Suddenly, she spoke up, Sir Ian again, please wait a moment, I was truly rude. Frida, Vice Director of the Fair Guild's Marine Branch, sincerely apologize to you. Sir again, I allowed my greed to get the better of me. Wanting to gain the upper hand in our relationship to make up for this disrespect, I hope to start over with you. Sir again, we will maintain the current contract with Bill Moore and add new terms. I assure you that you will no longer have to worry about anything. I'm sick of knights who are easily swayed by expensive bribes. Most of them are just fools chasing fame and fortune. But this guy is different. Again's eyes were extremely sharp. This guy is too dangerous to mess with. Perhaps that's why a merchant's intuition won't let me lose him. Suddenly, Frida paused and slowly looked up. Again continued. Very well. I'll hear your offer. His face darkened. But it had better be a very tempting one. Frida placed a hand on her chest and smiled. Thank you for your generosity regarding my mistake. Muriel laughed excitedly. These luxurious jewels are pretty nice. Aren't they? A knight really needs armor and a horse to look impressive. Do you hear me? Darlings, this country is the most beautiful in the world. Puchutek added. The contract is quite good. Sir again. He looked down and asked, you think so too? Puchutek nodded. Yes, the scale of the Fair Guild is too large to be underestimated. They are headquartered in Marine and have hundreds of branches throughout the Roman Empire, mainly dealing with high-status noble families, like the Qian family. Their offer to arrange unlimited access to dungeons and labyrinths affiliated with their branches is an extremely groundbreaking proposal. This condition is even better than being knighted by a noble. He was excited. Fantastic negotiation. Sir again grimaced. I just said that to get it over with. Suddenly, a voice interrupted. You think putting on fancy armor makes you a knight? Look at that baby face. Can you even hold a sword? Muriel spoke up. Hey, what did that rotten potato face guy just say? Camera waved and smiled. You're right on time. Again was surprised. Ah! Sir Camera. Nope, I should call you Lord Qian now. He replied, just call me whatever you're comfortable with. You've changed so much. Again asked, how have things been for you? Camera replied, well, my younger brother hasn't given up. In fact, has hired new mercenaries, but there's something suspicious this time. Again was surprised. Suspicious? He continued, hey, remember the mercenaries my brother hired to capture Philip, the ones who were torn apart by wolves? As I recall, they were all scoundrels. These new mercenaries give me the same feeling. Again, sharp eyes observed them carefully. Camera continued. That's why for this dungeon extermination, I need you to take charge. Sir again. Suddenly, someone quickly interrupted. Hey! Lord Qian, if that kid dies in the dungeon, does that mean I become the captain? Camera, surprised, said loudly, what the hell are you talking about? Carlo added, nope, I just want to make it clear beforehand. This isn't a group picnic. The dungeon is a place where lives are as cheap as dirt. We must be prepared for any situation. Again's face was cold as he looked at the old man. I hope you will be thorough. Carlo's face was extremely confident as he slowly emphasized. Captain, again turned and said, good idea. If I die, that bald guy will be the captain. Carlo was surprised. Bald guy. He continued, we have a backup plan. Let's head out today. Muriel suddenly pointed and said loudly, sir. That man, again replied coldly, I know, this is definitely Bertel's scheme. He plans to use mercenaries to deal with me in the dungeon. But if things don't go as they planned, it might be quite interesting. At that moment, again sharp blade continuously struck down one enemy after another. The cave was filled with corpses. His arm showed no sign of stopping. The tip of his sword struck down forcefully, without mercy. Carlo watched again intently. His reputation is no joke. Standing on the front line, taking on hundreds by himself, the mercenaries we brought along are practically just sitting around. It feels like a giant shield is in front of us. Carlo gritted his teeth in anger at Again's prowess. I just have to wait for the right moment. And just one chance for this poison blade to slice across that hateful face. Again suddenly shouted, ahead is an area where only mid-level monsters appear. From here on out, I can't guarantee your lives. Anyone who wants to follow, come, in case someone didn't understand. I'll repeat myself. Only those who are confident should follow me. Carlo added, if the captain is going, how can we stay put? The opportunity has arrived. Compass smiled. Then we'll go too. Putric stopped him. Wait, we'll stop here for now. Compass was surprised. Huh. He continued, it seems Sir again has other intentions. They began to venture deeper into the dark cave. Again thought to himself, the last time I came here, I was with Godfrey. Without him, everything is so boring. An image of him appeared in his mind. Godfrey! Even though I only observed him for a short time, I could see that Godfrey is an excellent commander. He knows how to raise morale at the right time and chooses the most dangerous position for himself to advance. If it were him, he could probably clear this dungeon easily, even leading this ragtag group. Again's footsteps continued to move slowly. At this point, I'm also curious, if it were Godfrey, how would he handle this situation? Have you finally dropped that clumsy act? Fine. If you crave death that much, I will grant your wish. All of them were surprised. What the hell? Why is there fire? Muriel smiled confidently with a stream of power in her palm. They were quickly burned. Run! Fire magic. That guy can use magic too. I can see anything. Carlo reassured them. Calm down. Light the torches again. Complete darkness enveloped them. Why weren't you more careful? I can see anything. Again silently took them down in the darkness. Light it up. What was that? What's that sound? We're being attacked. We're under attack. Fight back. Countless screams of pain. Wait, this is an ally. A glowing red thread was wrapped around their bodies. My leg! At this moment, the darkness was filled with terrified screams. Carlo gritted his teeth in fear. I didn't expect this. Help! Without light, the situation is even more advantageous for him to wreak havoc. He continuously struck stones together. Light! Come on. Light! Suddenly, Carlo's body froze at a sound coming from behind him. Frightened, he slowly turned his head to look. Why can't I hear anything? Gen's footsteps slowly approached. His voice whispered close to his ear. Need a light. It seems you're having trouble. Let me lend you a hand. Being human is so inconvenient. You're so weak in the dark. Now, how is it? Can you see better now? Who is the hunter and who is the prey? Carlo. Completely emotionless. Just stammered. Damn. His voice was slow, his mouth full of fangs. Monster. Scene change outside the mansion. A heavy rain poured down with thunder roaring across the sky. Someone's feet tried to walk quickly. At this moment, Camera called out in panic. Sir again. He was still standing pensively, looking out the window. After a moment, again slowly glanced back. Berto was just confused. Camera hesitated and asked, Sir, is that news true? He frowned at the person in front of him and uttered, What is all this commotion? Again let out a sound. As for that, just ask the person involved directly. Then, a muscular figure was thrown straight onto the floor. Bertle's eyes widened in doubt. Maverick. He clutched his face, his voice trembling. We were going to kill him. I was going to kill Ian Egan, under Bertoltian's orders. Hearing his name mentioned, he panicked and gave a forced laugh. Refuting, this bastard always spouts nonsense. Now he's really gone mad. Hearing this, Camera couldn't help but go mad and shout. Brother, do you really want to take it this far? Bertel glanced over and denied it. You're the one who needs to come to your senses? Do you believe the ramblings of a madman? What did you say? Maverick, stop rambling and speak clearly. Again stood behind him, using his blood-red pupils to control Maverick into speaking. What was I trying to do? How could I dare? Touch my master. A useless thing like me deserves to die. Camera saw him rush past and yelled, Wait, what? But he couldn't stop him in time. Maverick had broken through the glass window with his body and flew straight out. He grabbed onto the window frame and shouted, Maverick. A few seconds later, his body hit the sword of the statue below, causing everyone to panic. Bertel quickly spoke up, See? Brother. He clearly went insane after witnessing people being torn apart like paper by monsters. Believing such nonsense is just strange. Isn't it? Camera frowned and reminded him, the fact that you seem so happy about his death is even more suspicious. Bertel. His brother's words hit a nerve, leaving him speechless. Suddenly, Bertel turned around, changing the subject. You too. And again. Have you no knightly honor? You dare to slander me with such vague and absurd words. His face darkened as he questioned. Bertel, speak on your honor as a knight. Are you truly innocent? Although he was terrified, he still managed to blurt out 2 words. Of course. Again suddenly raised his arm and called out. In that case, Bertel, on my honor as a knight and in the name of truth, he pointed his axe forward provocatively, challenge you to prove it in a duel. Hearing this, he could only grit his teeth, not knowing how to respond. Scene change outside, voices chattered in the twilight. Is the second young master going to have a duel in the front yard? Oh my god, what kind of trouble is the second young master causing this time? I heard he hired an assassin. Hired an assassin? He's always causing trouble. But this time it's too much. Who is he trying to kill? They looked at him and Bertel standing opposite each other and gossiped. I heard he wanted to kill the knight the Lord hired. Suryanijin. He seriously raised his sword in front of him. Camera stood to the side, watching with worry. He closed his eyes and thought, the 2 sides are in sharp disagreement, so this time force will be used to determine the truth. The truth will be guided by the true will of the gods. Again's cold face appeared with the thought. To the hands of the victor. At this moment, Bertel swung his sword down, letting out a sharp cry. He gripped the hilt tightly and charged at him. Again simply held his sword out in front of him. Immediately after, the 2 swords clashed with a screech. Bertel quickly swung upwards with a powerful strike. He attacked him with all his might but was still no match. Suddenly, something caused again to lose focus for a moment. He remembered when Bertel reported, I found the vampire, reported to Sir Uldrich immediately. Returning to reality, again spoke. To think I was chased for over 10 years by someone like you. Those words made him falter, both scared and worried. Seizing the opportunity, he slashed downwards, pushing Bertel back. He gritted his teeth and glanced down at his sword. After again swung his sword back, his sword was also knocked into the air. It quickly plunged into the ground. At the same time, Bertel fell with a thud. His pupils glowed bright red, his voice filled with killing intent. Now! Take this. He was terrified, only able to stare wide-eyed at what was coming. Meanwhile, Camera was thinking, Bertel's swordsmanship isn't bad at all, it's just that this time, even an outsider could see it clearly. He stood still as soon as he saw his brother fall. At that moment, Camera realized Anagen was stronger than his younger brother. Observing the overwhelming aura coming from Again, Camera confirmed, by a lot, without any hesitation, one of Bertel's arms was sent flying. At this moment, he hurriedly ran over and shouted, Stop! He glanced over and coolly repeated one word, Stop! Get out of the way. The duel isn't over. Sir Qian, Camera held out his arm to block him. I cannot stand by and watch my brother die at your hands. Sir, again, Bertel San is injured and can no longer prove his claim. The victory belongs to you. Sir Yan again, Bertel urgently shouted. No, I can still fight. Let me send him to the heavens myself. He roared in rage. Bertel, he looked down at his younger brother and advised. That's enough. The outcome is decided. Accept your guilt with dignity and repent in prison. He shouted irritably. Shut up. What crime have I committed? Camera pulled him back. Bertel, he gripped the sword in his hand tightly and shouted. Anagen, Bertel charged forward in a rage. If only you didn't exist. If you had never appeared in my life, I wouldn't have to suffer like this. A second later, bright slash passed by his face. Suddenly, Again looked down, confused. Bertel wondered, why isn't my body obeying me? His feet were still standing firm, but Bertel had fallen. My armor. Brother. He stared wide-eyed, listening. You should have taken the last chance, your brother. Again sheathed his sword, leaving a long trail of blood, and called his name. Bertel. The people standing around could only watch in silence. When it was over, he turned and left, leaving behind an extremely tense atmosphere. Camera's face darkened as he let Again and his people leave. Thinking to himself, my foolish younger brother. Scene changed to a harbor, seagulls soaring high in the sky. As Again walked down the corridor, a voice echoed in his ear. Don't you regret it, sir? He asked nonchalantly. Regret what? Muriel flew ahead and replied, the first thrall you created? Was he only used to confess and then be thrown away? Again thought back to that moment and said, it's nothing, a creature so weak it couldn't even endure becoming my thrall. Keeping him around would only risk exposing my identity as a vampire. Using him as a tool to provoke the duel was enough. Do you think I would spare someone who dares to bare their fangs at me? Miriam heard this and exclaimed, truly a vampire, cold and emotionless. Like this, vampires are supposed to have hordes of slaves? Right, slaves are a symbol of a vampire's power. He answered bluntly, I don't need them. She sighed, you really don't understand anything about the bloodline. Again reached for the doorknob. Thralls created from the weak are just a waste of cleanup effort. If I had to choose someone suitable. Just as he opened the door, a panicked voice was heard. Sir Gab. He watched them talk to each other in confusion. Yes, I heard it's chaotic over there. But when did he go in there? Anyway, it's been 2 weeks. Billmore suddenly turned and called out. Sir again. Frida also paused for a few seconds. He quickly ran over to greet him. Sir again. Hello? I heard you successfully cleared a dungeon this time as well. He nodded. Yes, I'm happy to see you again too. So, did something happen to Sir Godfrey? Frida pondered for a moment, not knowing how to start. Then she recounted. Actually, 2 weeks ago, Sir Godfrey participated in clearing the labyrinth in Count Everground's domain. At that moment, the sound of horse hooves echoed, but then he disappeared inside alone. Even though we searched all the way to the mid-level monster zone, we found no trace of him. Perhaps, again furrowed his brow tensely as he thought about her words, is trapped in the high-level monster zone. And so, he rode his horse straight ahead through the desolate forest. The door was thrown open, again stepped in from outside. Upstairs, a figure stood and greeted him. Hello, Sir Yanni. Again, your fame is spread far and wide. You're much younger and more handsome than I imagined. Again bowed formally to him. It's a pleasure to meet you, young Master JV. Such a warm welcome. He suddenly cut him off. Ah! That's right. This matter needs to be discussed further. Javi Everground, the eldest son of the Everground family. Please, come inside. The two entered the room and sat down. He spoke first. It seems Sir Gab was too ambitious. If this dungeon subjugation had been successful, we were planning to promote him. But we didn't expect him to enter the high-level floor on his own. Confused, again tilted his head and asked, on his own? You say, his expression unchanging. He replied, that's right. Unfortunately, that high-level floor is a place our Everground family hasn't been able to reach for 100 years. It is the domain of the Dungeon Lord. He was a little surprised by what Javi said. Dungeon Lord, Lucas, sitting aside, spoke lazily, an existence that not only lives in, but rules the entire dungeon. He rested his chin on his hand and smirked. Sir Gab, blinded by his desire for merit, recklessly caused trouble for many people. He stood up and walked towards them. Ah! Let me introduce you. This is the knight who guards our domain. Sir Lucas. At that time, he and Sir Gab were commanding the army to subjugate the dungeon. Only then did Lucas greet him. It's a pleasure to meet you. Sir again, I heard that you defeated Gab in a duel. Did you know? We have an interesting thing in common. I am the champion of the Everground tournament. Meaning, I defeated Gab in a duel. So, we both have that in common. Defeating Gab. Interesting, isn't it? Again's expression was the complete opposite of his cheerfulness as he replied, is that important right now? To ease the atmosphere, Javi quickly stepped forward. Ah! What I mean is, Gab was a talent we are sad to lose as well. Regarding this incident, I sincerely apologize to you. Sir again. He pointed at him and asked hesitantly, I heard that you and Sir Gab share a very close friendship. Is that right? An image of Gab winking appeared in his mind. Sir again and I are soulmates. He replied warily and thought to himself, ah, you could say that glory hound. Javi sat in the opposite chair. Since you're close friends, I suppose Sir Gab helped you out a lot. Listen carefully. For the past 100 years, our family has tried to conquer the high-level floor many times, but the result was always everyone going missing. Therefore, we have a rule, if someone is not found within a month, the search will be stopped and they will be declared dead. Do you understand? Sir again, Sir Gab has been missing for 3 weeks. If he is not found within the next week, hearing his last sentence, he froze, his eyes wide. Then it will be considered hopeless, again hastily shot to his feet. Then I will depart immediately. Seeing this, Javi quickly raised a hand to stop him. Wait, I understand your impatience, but the dungeon is not a place one can enter and exit casually. He held up 3 fingers as an announcement. 3 days. In 3 days, Sir Lucas and I will prepare an elite squad. He turned back and listened silently as Javi spoke. In the meantime, please rest and regain your strength. Again's face was dark as he said, "Thank you." He continued, "One more thing. We've just hired a sorcerer. I will send that person to assist you. They are quite useful." Muriel appeared, rubbing her chin and asking, "A sorcerer? Outside," she immediately complained to again. "Ah, that spiky-haired guy is truly useless." Muriel angrily shouted, making him pay attention. "He may look scrawny, but his skills are no joke. Do you believe that?" "Sir, again, I really want to pour a bucket of water on his nose to wake him up." Again didn't answer, but lowered his head and thought, "This is suspicious in more than 1 or 2 ways. Before I parted with Gab," he said, "an image from the past suddenly appeared. It'll be promoted by Count Everground for my contribution this time. Why don't you come with me and enjoy those great benefits?" Back in the present, he focused his thoughts. He was promised a promotion, which is why he tried so hard to open the door and eliminate monsters in the dungeon. Why did they suddenly change their story like that? Besides, from what I know, is not the type to act recklessly just because of a temporary desire to fight monsters. A villager suddenly shouted, "Hey! Over there! Over there!" Again didn't hear, still lost in thought. Even if he was in a hurry, he would have prepared an elite team and advanced safely. The villager continued to shout the name that jolted him awake. Messiah's coming. Before him was an old man standing on a stage. On the day the red shadow covers the moon, the goddess of victory will descend in anger to destroy this world. The panicked villagers pushed and shoved each other, bumping into again. The disaster has begun. The earthquakes near the dungeon have caused forest animals to die in droves. And recently, a talented knight went missing in the dungeon too. Muriel wondered, pointing forward. "Hey, isn't he talking about that spiky-haired guy?" The old man on the stage shouted, "Sprinkle the blood of a calf before your doors, and offer the rest of its meat as a sacrifice. Only then will Mesa descend and save this blood-stained land." Below, the crowd began to murmur again. "Oh my god, what should we do? What the heck is this? A heretical cult?" She was also a bit surprised and asked again, "What kind of devilish language is that?" His face darkened as he spoke. "The atmosphere in this village is not normal at all." A young man walked up, handed a flyer to again, and shouted loudly, "The gods are angry, so believe in us now." He took the paper and read it. The animals that died from the earthquake near the dungeon. Could it be that a part of the dungeon collapsed, allowing the monsters to crawl out? If so, then why did Gab again quickly turned around? "Muriel, we have to go to the dungeon now?" Seeing this, she asked confusedly, "Huh, why?" "Master," someone from behind who overheard the conversation smiled. 3 days is still too long. We'll go find him ourselves first." Oh, okay. Let's wipe them all out." That person walked past, a smile stretching from ear to ear. "Yo, I didn't expect to meet a vampire here." Again, as if struck in the heart, whipped his head around to look. The person, whose face was half covered by a hood, continued, "I heard that the vampires on this continent were nearly wiped out by the Holy Knights." Right? Hearing the next sentence, his whole body tensed as if frozen. To walk around so openly in broad daylight, again quickly grabbed their collar, then pulled her into a hidden corner. The villagers continued to whisper the rumor, "Mecca is coming. From now on, believe in us, everyone." He forcefully shoved the person against the wall, making her grit her teeth in pain. Again's red eyes glowed in the dark, his voice sharp, "Reveal your identity now. How did you recognize me? If you don't answer quickly, it'll break your neck." She struggled as she was lifted off the ground. "Wait. Hold on. Let go of me and it'll talk." Her face was drenched in sweat. She spoke with difficulty. "I am." Upon hearing the answer, the killing intent in his eyes subsided. "Pi Grimza?" Miriam sat with her arms crossed, tilting her head slightly. "Pi Grimza. Sounds familiar." She suddenly opened her mouth and shouted loudly. "Ah!" Miriam hastily flew over, holding out her hands. "Master, stop. Are you going to kill her? This will ruin everything." She hurriedly shouted so loudly that again tilted his head to look. "She's that sorcerer." Miriam waved her hands around and yelled, "The Pi Grimza clan. They're a family of sorcerers who have served vampires for generations." He turned his face to ask, his hand unintentionally squeezing harder. "Served? Served?" After a sharp cry, she fainted. Seeing this, she was silent for a moment before saying, She's unconscious. The scene changes. She is sitting in a room, clutching her throat, coughing violently and shouting, "Why did you attack first and ask questions later? Who would dare to answer like this?" Again looked away, avoiding her gaze. Sorry. Miriam angrily jumped up. What a sharp-tongued woman. She put a hand to her mouth and cleared her throat. Ahem. Let me introduce myself. I am Rosemary, a member of the Pygrimza clan that specializes in serving vampires. Clan has the ability to identify vampires instantly. It is an honor to meet one of the children of the night like you. I was also looking for you. Sir again, a young Master Javis request. Hearing this, he thought to himself, so the sorcerer Javi mentioned is her. Rosemary stammered as she asked, according to the young master, you and Sir Gab have a very close friendship, is that right? After hearing that, again could only remain silent. That guy's big mouth. When I find him, he'll shut him up for good. She lowered her head slightly and glanced away. I was also in the dungeon subjugation army at that time. When he disappeared, Muriel and again were stunned. Then he spoke up and asked, can you detail the situation at that time? Rosemary lowered her head, her gaze downcast, and replied, yes. At that time, I needed an item from a monster by volunteering for Count Everground's campaign. The Everground dungeon is notoriously treacherous, but it has been explored for 100 years, so all floors have been fully cleared, except for the high-level floor. Therefore, everyone entered quite comfortably. Of course, there were still casualties. As we were advancing deeper, the ground suddenly cracked. The soldiers shouted, wait, stop, it's an earthquake. Suddenly, there was a loud explosion, and the whole dungeon shook. Finally, the ground beneath my feet collapsed. Just as I was about to fall, a hand reached out and grabbed my arm. Sir Gab, who was guarding the rear, saved me and fell into the chasm in my place. Thanks to him, I was lucky enough to escape and regain consciousness. The soldiers started to complain. How dare he open such a dangerous door? Everyone believed that Sir Gab had opened the door to the high-level floor, which caused the earthquake. Sir Gab saved my life, so I had to at least inform you. Sir again, his best friend, I didn't expect you to be a vampire. He tilted his head up slightly and thought, Javis' words are far from the truth. Again looked away. Javi lied to me, or someone has spread false information. Rosemary suddenly spoke again, but at that time, I saw something in the deep chasm where Sir Gab fell. There was a drawing of a giant eye. Again found it strange and asked, an eye? She quickly replied, yes. Sir again, do you still have the flyer that those cultists were handing out? His expression turned dark as he remembered the eye on the flyer. The drawing on it was identical to what I saw. Below, in a cave, those people were shouting loudly. Worship, adore, Mecca has arrived. Offer your flesh, blood, and devout hearts to welcome him. He will lead us to salvation. A cultist, face hidden by a hood, revealed a sinister and cruel smile. He is about to awaken, the crowd eagerly reported. The food supply is complete. The mercenaries and knights have all gathered. The voice grew louder and louder. We can march out right now. What do you think? Sir again, are you excited to face the dungeon soon? It became more and more mocking. I just hope we don't have to carry any corpses back. Yeah, he's not the type to die easily. He laughed loudly as if satisfied. Sir Gab is really trusted. Isn't he? Again glanced silently, thinking, even though I want to enter the labyrinth sooner. Since I know Gab's disappearance wasn't a normal accident, I need to keep a close eye on this guy's movements. You've waited for me for 3 weeks. Surely you can wait another 3 days. Right? Just then, a group of people approached. Greetings. Sir again, we are the Holy Knights from the Everground Monastery. It is an honor to accompany a true knight of faith like you. We are deeply moved by your determination to risk your life for others. In the name of God, please fight alongside us. Sir again. Muriel teased. A vampire, a true knight of faith, while again was dumbfounded. Well, I'll try my best. Unexpectedly, the teammate standing next to him laughed loudly. The Holy Knights are followers of God's command. It's rare to see them pay attention to a knight. Sir again, you could even become a holy knight yourself later. Don't you think? His face darkened. A vampire holy knight. Lucas smirked with ill intent, his expression deeply mysterious. Again, with his blazing red eyes, glared at him in silence. The door swung open as if welcoming everyone. Again called out, Putidek, come here for a talk. He replied, yes, sir. All around, Voices of caution were heard. Everyone, rest here for a moment. Don't let your guard down. Just get a drink of water and return to your positions immediately. Muriel was still looking around with sparkling eyes. Master, this place is magical. You've observed it. Haven't you? It's completely different from the dungeons I've seen before. This place was artificially created, so it has the minimum conditions for survival, and the monsters are moderately distributed. If the worst case scenario happens, we can also hide in this labyrinth to survive. At this moment, Lucas shouted, "This is an ideal place for evil things to hide. Isn't it? Don't you think so? Truly an outstanding talent. No one died on the way here?" Again wondered, how much farther until we reached the place where Sir Gab disappeared? He sneered, "Don't be so impatient. You said you trusted Gab, didn't you?" Again replied to Lucas with sharp eyes that seemed to stab right into his throat. Lucas continued arrogantly, "But right now, the person you should trust the most is me. Didn't I tell you? We of the Everground family have already figured out all the traps in this labyrinth." He was curious, "But why do people still die every time we go in?" He chuckled, "That's a small matter. It can be considered a sacrifice to return safely." Again seemed horrified upon hearing this shocking news as they entered the labyrinth. The groups of holy knights from the monastery were busy observing the surrounding terrain. At this moment, the ground began to show unusual signs. He uttered, "An earthquake." Lucas shouted a warning, "Everyone be on your guard. The labyrinth structure is changing." Again gave him a murderous glare. He raised his voice, "This is it, sir." Again, Lucas pointed towards the collapsed wall, where the walls were constantly changing. He quickly explained the plan, saying it was a shortcut to the upper floor. Amidst the chaos, a loud shout was heard, "Sir!" Again. The ground. Lucas stood in the middle of the quaking cave with an arrogant air. As if fearing nothing, he looked up at him in shock. Curious, What do you mean?" "Shortcut." At that moment, his mouth stretched into a wide grin and the earthquake was about to seal the path. "Exactly, before the door closes," Lucas announced, "where Sir again is standing," and just like that, the rotating system quickly emitted terrifying sounds. Around again, whirlwinds rushed in, making the space feel dense. Someone wondered, this is..." He furrowed his brow, thinking, this really isn't a natural earthquake. Gab fell into a trap that guy knew about beforehand. But what on earth is his goal? Rosemary screamed in horror. "Sir!" again. Over there, it seemed he saw something that made his eyes widen in astonishment. Again stared blankly at the body covered in fresh blood, tied to a wooden cross. Immediately, he angrily flew into the air towards Gab. Seeing the pale and battered body on the wooden cross, his heart ached. He quickly touched Gab's nose to check for breath. His red eyes narrowed. He's still alive. He just needs to be treated in time. Muriel whispered, Master, there's something strange here. I've been feeling something unusual down below for a while now." Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blew from nowhere, making them lose their balance. Rosemary looked up in amazement. Where is this wind coming from? In the vast open air, an opaque red energy orb appeared, illuminating the area. Bright eyes shone amidst the chaos as a dragon spat disgusting. Bloody fire, filling the surroundings with a pungent smell. Its tail constantly wriggled on the ground, making the battlefield shake. The two of them witnessed its furious state. She screamed with a pale face. "It's a Minotaur," again reminded her. Rosemary, "Protect Gab." Its immense power easily sent layers of rock and soil flying into the sky. He ran forward with terrifying speed, creating a deafening sound of friction against the ground. He successfully dodged its brutal attack with incredible speed. The Minotaur's sharp eyes watched sensitively. It went berserk, spitting out a horrifying stream of fire energy that sent him sliding backward. Again's entire body was thrown into the air. He winced in pain and let out a soft groan. Even Rosemary was flung into the air by its chaotic speed. The Minotaur drew its sword, which was filled with a bright fuel. Its massive body, holding the sword, radiated brutal aggression. At this moment, again, clinging hastily to the wall, shouted, "Wait, what are you planning to do?" Its glowing red eyes seemed to be aimed straight at him. A single strike from the Minotaur's sword hit the ground, causing the earth to tremble. Surprisingly, Gab's body, held on the wooden cross, was also destroyed. Witnessing this sight, again gritted his teeth in anger, again gathered all his strength on the wall to launch himself forward. He tried to reach his hand towards Gab as if to grab him, his eyes showing a fierce determination to end this quickly. However, an energy barrier suddenly appeared, stunning him. His face contorted as he screamed, "What are you doing?" Rosemary gently explained. "Sir, again, that's a Minotaur. It's one of the highest level elite monsters." She stated the truth plainly. Even a vampire would die. At that moment, again revealed his fangs and claws, his eyes filled with murderous intent. He aimed the sword straight at her face, and then again retracted the sword. "You are insolent, Rosemary," she replied sorrowfully. "I apologize, sir, again, but I can't stand by and watch a vampire rush to his death. The chances of winning against a Minotaur head-on like this are too low. If you truly want to save Sir Gab, you need to be more level-headed." But still, why did a Minotaur appear from the start? Is this labyrinth really that large? I thought there would only be Cyclops. While they were talking, the door behind them slowly opened. Light shone on them, accompanied by his provocative voice. "Oh my! I never expected that sorceress could use earth magic. You survived thanks to Gab? I thought you were just an eccentric sorceress who could only create illusions." "Who knew?" His eyes were sharp and his lips curled into a provocative smirk. Lucas laughed loudly. "Oh dear, I never expected that sorceress could use earth magic. You don't really want to save Gab, do you?" Rosemary continued. "It's because everything happened so fast back then." Suddenly, Again's muscular arm grabbed Lucas by the collar. "So, it was you." His eyes were sharp, the one who reduced Gab to this pathetic state. He chuckled. "Oh my, I saw that Sir again missed his friend so much, so I just helped you two meet. Unlike those commoners, you are quite rude." "Sir again." Lucas slowly took hold of Again's trembling arm. Suddenly, Again's gaze froze and he glanced to the side. Again's hand quickly snatched away from Lucas' grasp. Rosemary's eyes widened in astonishment. She cried out. "That is..." Again continued. "That power just now. The purple light glowing on Lucas' hand. Isn't that yours?" Rosemary continued. "Sir, again, that pattern is clearly a power transfer spell. It was originally used to transfer energy between humans, but when it started being used to transfer the power of non-human creatures, it was completely forbidden." Lucas interrupted. "Forbidden magic? That's just a cowardly word game used by those who want to monopolize power. You still don't understand. We are the chosen ones. When despair floods the world, we will survive by the will of the gods." Lucas' face froze. Again cut him off. "I see. You borrowed someone else's power to defeat Gab, then acted as if it was your own real ability in front of me. Very well. Let me teach you your place first." Suddenly, a radiant red power erupted from his entire body. The two powerful energies collided. Rosemary thought to herself, "Such terrifying energy. How can a normal vampire emit something like this?" Lucas' attitude was now extremely confident. Well, hiding one's power. His elbow quickly struck again. Isn't necessarily a bad thing. Lucas' palm pressed directly against his chest. The symbol on the back of Lucas' hand glowed. "But unfortunate for you, I have no intention of retreating first." Both Again and Rosemary were floating in mid-air. He continued to speak loudly. "I told you, I've figured out all the traps in this labyrinth." Lucas' eyes glowed as he smiled. "Fall into darkness." Again suddenly grimaced and shouted at the danger ahead. Rosemary, a powerful magic circle appeared under her feet. Again's body quickly changed direction and flew towards Lucas, his eyes sharp and his hand gripping the hilt of his sword. Lucas' attitude showed no fear. The sharp blade quickly passed over Lucas' cheek. His eyes slowly moved down to the streak of blood on his cheek. But in a flash, the blade broke in two. He thought to himself, "And again, I've heard you were strong, but that just now truly exceeded my expectation. In a direct confrontation, I'm not sure I could win." Indeed, using Gab as bait without killing him was the right decision. Finally, the last sacrifice is about to be offered. The magic circles were gradually breaking apart. "Sorry, sir, again, the magic circle can't be drawn any further." Rosemary hurriedly said. "Wait. Sir, again, where are you going?" Her face was filled with panic at the situation. Rosemary quickly escaped. "What is this trickery? I should have just pretended not to know. Why did I get involved and end up in this mess?" Suddenly, she froze and looked ahead. Again's face was dark as he held Gab in his arms. He spoke up. "Hey, can you save him?" Rosemary stammered. "Well, my specialty isn't healing magic." Again's voice was cold. "That's not the answer I want to hear." She was too scared to answer him. Suddenly, blazing red vortex appeared below. "I'll do my best," Muriel quickly cried out. "Master! Master! I've checked. There's absolutely no way out," again said sternly. "No wall can be broken." She continued, "Yes, this place is like an isolated boss room at the very end of the labyrinth." Muriel seemed solemn. "Master, there is something I wish to report. Although this place is filled with water energy, a water spirit cannot control anything here at all." Her gaze was fixed ahead, especially on that pool of water. Again's face froze as he carefully observed the surroundings. Those glowing eyes on the wall, are these the eyes Rosemary saw underground? He asked. "Muriel, why can't you control this?" She replied, "In principle, I can only control the blood of the dead. This means the owner of this blood is still alive." Suddenly, a dangerous presence emerged from under the water. A dark monster was trying to rise from below. Again stood firm, fearlessly watching the monster rise. Rosemary, who was transferring energy to Gab, was also extremely surprised. Again said loudly, "Muriel, find a way to create an opening for us to escape." She received the order. "Yes, Master." Before him stood an enormous demon king. His eyes darkened as he turned to look at Gab, who was still unable to move. Again's gaze suddenly shifted. "I have to neutralize the thing first." Finishing his thought, he quickly rushed forward. The Demon King's large hand also began to rise amidst the chaotic scene before again. His attitude showed no mercy as he gritted his teeth and leaped high. Again's body moved across the surface of the bright red water. Right now, his blade quickly struck the Demon King's body. Suddenly, again froze, looking at his shattered sword. The Demon King then began to open its large mouth. A bright light within, its arm directly swatted again, sending him flying far away. Streaks of blood mixed with the bright red water. Again suddenly stopped and looked back. His eyes were sharp as he gritted his teeth, gathering momentum to jump high. Again's body now merged with the water. He moved skillfully, constantly changing direction. The giant Demon King remained frenzied, showing no mercy. Again looked down at his sword. A normal sword couldn't even leave a scratch. Suddenly, a stream of power slowly emerged from his armor. Red streaks slowly enveloped the blade. Again's face darkened as he got into a ready stance. "I'll use this to deal with it for now." His eyes were still fixed on the Demon King. Again's feet quickly leaped from his position. His face was dark, his sharp eyes observing the surroundings. Again's body moved skillfully, changing the direction of his attack. Suddenly, his body froze in considerable pain. The Demon King before him was still a difficult threat to defeat. It continued to attack again relentlessly. His body was sent flying against the stone wall. Purple power enveloped the Demon King's entire body. Rosemary, still focused on transferring energy to Gab, looked up. Her face was filled with fear as she stammered loudly, "Hey, Sir Gab, wake up. Your friend is in danger." Again was trying to get up. Rosemary was right. A streak of blood appeared on his face. This high-level monster was unusually strong. Its angry eyes glowed, staring intently at Again. Suddenly, the Demon King's giant arm reached out to do something. His gaze froze at the Demon King's action. Its eyes were still glowing, making its next move unpredictable. A fiery arrow shot through the crimson haze at an extremely high speed. Again's entire body stood in front of Rosemary to take the hit. Her eyes widened in horror at what was happening. Sir Again, his face darkened as he tried to look up. Panting heavily, Again's body trembled. So helpless, this familiar feeling has haunted me for decades. The large palm attacked again. It's obvious. Again's eyes, still fearless, looked up. But why? Why is it more painful this time than that day? Again's entire body was sinking into the water. The streaks of blood on his face flowed continuously, showing no sign of stopping. Before him was the image of a terrified Rosemary and an unconscious Gab. Why? Gab still showed no signs of waking up. Suddenly, his eyes slowly began to open. Gab's eyes widened in surprise as he looked in that direction. Why?